DraftKings.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Winston, under pressure, gonna run it into the end zone. Whoa!
And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
A 2 to tie, a 3 to win, and you can bet that Josh Harper will take the shot. With 5, with 4 to the lead. He's got it. They've got the lead.
Happy Positive Friday. Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. As hope you are having a wonderful day. It is Positive Friday, November 22nd. We have reached the quarter mark of the NHL season. The Edmonton Oilers, not awful, not where they want to be. Maybe not a huge surprise. There are a few areas of their game that are definitely surprising. We'll get into to all of that on the show. I am going to say one thing on the show. If you think one player is the reason the Oilers are where they're at right now, I don't think you're paying attention. I know it's easy for people to point at one person, and it's like people, that's all they want to focus on. I don't like the goalie, so anytime he allows a goal, guess what? Stuart Skinner wasn't the reason they lost last night. Not even close. They got 2 super lucky goals and then had maybe one good scoring chance the rest of the game. That was McDavid's breakaway. Partial breakaway, whatever you want to call it. Didn't generate anything else again. What about their power play? Didn't have a shot in 2 consecutive chances in the third period. The Skinner's had much worse games than he had last night. I know people are like, yeah, well, this many goals and this many shots. It doesn't matter. It's funny. Chris Knobloch said it last night, said it again today. He goes, I actually thought Stuart Skinner played well. I have no issue with it. Other games, yeah, it's been an issue. It wasn't last night. But we'll look at the quarter mark. Can Skinner play better? Of course. Does he need to play better? Of course. But if you only want to focus on Skinner, then you're delusional. You're not even watching. Their power play stinks. Look at their team. Look at their offensive potential, and then tell me why it's okay that their power play is 22nd. Columbus, San freaking Jose, Philadelphia. Go to the list of teams that are better on the power play. Do they have remotely close to the same offensive skill as the Oilers on the man advantage? Honestly, I'm sorry. Their power play is not. Their power play in the first 21 games last year had 20 goals. You know how many goals their power play has through 21 games this year? 9. 9. They've got 9 goals in 21 games. They're on pace to score 35 power play goals. They haven't had a game where they've scored 2 power play goals yet. And when you think about it, go back, look at the weekend in Toronto. You get a 5-minute major, you're up a goal, not a sniff. Could have went up 2. Probably saw it's a game away. Then Monday night, you're in Montreal. And not a very good offensive team. And a team that's not very good playing from behind at all. And you have multiple power play chances in a 0-0 game, can't score. And then the Habs get a deflection, they go up 1-0. The Ottawa game, they scored a timely power play goal. Big reason why I think they won. But that hasn't happened often enough. Their power play is not generating the momentum. Even on times they don't score, it used to give momentum that would carry over. They're not getting any of that. Their power play's got to be better. Their whole offense. And what about home ice? So if you're upset with the goaltending, that's fine. Do you know where the goaltenders rank on home ice in the NHL? 30th. Do you know where the offense ranks in the NHL on home ice? 31st. 2.27 goals a game. You think you're going to win very much? 2.27 on home ice so far this season. The Oilers were the best home team in the NHL last year as far as, fourth best in comes in points and records, but highest scoring team on home ice. Almost 4 goals a game. And now they're at 2.27. Actually, it was over 4. Almost 2 fewer goals a game on home ice. And you're going to blame the goaltending? Come on now. Or only blame the goaltending? I'm sorry. I know it's easy for some people to just want to blame one person, but you won't get that on our show. I'm sorry. This is a team effort. Their power play is junk for the skill set that they have. It is. It's a quarter in. You want 5 games, they'll go ups and downs. I get it. But over a 21-game stretch, it's not good enough. Now, you can tell me, well, it's going to play better. Okay, sure. Is that a guarantee? People told me after 5 games when I said the Oilers' offense is concerned, oh, no, it'll be fine. Regression to the mean. It's the new saying now. I'm not going to analyze anything. I'm just going to go off the odds and say, well, the odds will tell me it'll get better. But when? It's 21 games in. Has it gotten better yet? Last time I checked, it hasn't. The Oilers, and here's the great part, though, for them. Worst case scenario, they're 6 points out of first place if Vegas wins their game in hand. Because Vegas is 4 points up. They played 20 games. 4 points. So with all of the issues about the Oilers, they haven't dug themselves a massive cavernous hole that they got to dig out of. They're 8th place in points. They're 10th in points percentage because they played a few more games in Vancouver and Seattle. They're not remotely out of it. They will have a 5-day break. And if you remember last year, the 5-day break was really a catapult to them having a good season. And if you look at their practice, I think it'll be a little bit different this time because the Oilers were tired last night. I know people don't want to hear that as an excuse, but just go look at their schedule. Right? It matters. It does. When you're flying Nashville, then back, then you go back out east. There was fatigue. Right from the get-go, anybody who was at that game, anybody who was watching the game, the Oilers were a step behind. It's going to happen. And you look at kind of the cumulative effect of travel. It isn't always just due to 3 games in 4 days or anything like that. It can add up. And usually when, if the Oilers have way more jump on the other team, they're playing great. And we kind of overlook the fact that, well, the other team, you know what? Not so much. So the Oilers, I do think fatigue plays a little bit of a factor. Today at practice, no McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Ekholm, no Bouchard, no Skinner, no Kulak. A lot of the guys who play the most minutes weren't on the ice. The rest were. Corey Perry, older player, he had the day off. Adam Henrique, same thing. The rest skated. Not overly long, but they skated. No Travis Dermott. He's still sick. We'll see if he's good to go tomorrow. Darnell Nurse is a possibility for tomorrow night for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, he would help. And, then they play the Rangers. I would expect them to have a lot more jump tomorrow night against the New York Rangers because it's hard to have less than they had against the Winnipeg, not the Winnipeg, the Minnesota Wild, right? It happens. But for the Oilers, that's just for one game. It doesn't answer why their offense has not been at the level that you would expect. For their power play to be this bad, to me, that's a concern. Right, the Rangers coming here. They've been on a road trip, but it's not an overly hard road trip. They left New York on Friday the 15th, went to Seattle, played, won, went to Vancouver. 2 days later, it's not hard to go from Seattle to Vancouver. Then they went from Vancouver to Calgary, lost 3-2. Now they go to Edmonton, then they'll go home. It is the final game of a road trip. Maybe a little fatigue, probably not a ton, but the Oilers should be a little bit more of the rested team. And we'll see if they take advantage. They got to have a little bit more pep in their step. They know they're going to have Sunday off. They know they're going to have 5 days. Now they'll have some practice time in between. I'm guessing the Oilers are going to practice Sunday and then have 2 days of practice, probably have a day off Wednesday, and then practice again Thursday before flying out to Utah. That day off between to maybe have a little bit more of an up-tempo practice one of those days on Monday or Tuesday, and away they go. The good news is, I've said again, the Oilers, they're not playing great, but they haven't played poorly enough to really hinder themselves. And that to me is a good thing. They can work, their power play has to work on stuff. I think, sure, Stuart Skinner, you'd like a few more saves. Last night wasn't one of those games, though, for me. None of those goals were like, oh my God, those were terrible goals. Could he made a save on one? Maybe. Maybe it's a great save. Wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game. Because the Oilers, they just never had it last night against the Wild. Really, I know they got that super lucky goal. I don't know if I've ever seen a goal like that. Leon Draisaitl shoots it from inside his own blue line, looking to pass. It deflects off his skate. Then it rolls through the defender's feet at the blue line and is rolling right into Fleury. He's going to play it, and then it bounces. And there was the great replay. It literally jumped up. Obviously lucky for Draisaitl. But, the Oilers, they never were able to take any momentum from that goal at all. Then they got another fortuitous bounce on the Corey Perry goal. But their power play went 2 consecutive man advantage. Didn't even get a shot on goal. The one big positive, though, right now for the Oilers is their penalty kill. It's back on track. And seems to be giving teams some fits because the Oilers kill a lot different than other teams. A lot of teams, the other ones have 3 up. The Oilers don't do that. And a lot of teams don't seem to have an answer for it. It works really well when you're in sync and unified, and the Oilers are back to being in sync and unified. Minnesota has pretty good power play. Didn't look dangerous at all last night, and really no team has over the last 6 games. So that bodes well for Edmonton. Their penalty kill is better. But they need to start scoring some goals. That just, to me, is you with the offense they have. And I broke down the numbers. So the Oilers last year, their defense group through the first quarter of the season had 13 goals. They have exactly 13 again this year. Bouchard had 5. He has 5 again this year. Last year, Ekholm and Nurse had a few more goals. This year, Brett Kulak's got more goals. But either way, they got 13 from their blue line. So no issue. Their offense, their forwards, have 13 fewer goals than they had last season. And I've seen a lot of people, they're missing McLeod, they're missing Fogle, all those guys. So I went through the 21 games to start last season. Sam Gagner had 3 goals. Warren Fogle had 3 goals. James Hamlin had 2. Dylan Holloway had 1. So those are 9 goals from the guys who aren't here. Ryan McLeod didn't have a goal in the first quarter of the season last year. And the guys who have replaced them, Perry, Skinner, Arvidsson, Henrique, and Podkolzin, because they weren't here in the first quarter of the season last year. So to me, that's who's replaced those 5. Well, they got more goals combined. Skinner and Perry each have 4. That's 8. Henrique and Arvidsson each have 2. That gives them 12. Podkolzin doesn't have 1. So they've outscored. If we're just looking at that group, so where's the drop-off come? Well, it's come from Zach Hyman, who had 12 goals to lead the team in the first quarter of last year. And I said at the start of the season, I did not expect Zach Hyman to be a 50-goal man again. In the salary cap era, back-to-back 50-goal seasons doesn't happen very often. In the last decade, there's only 2 guys who have done it. Leon Draisaitl, Alex Ovechkin. Lots of other great scorers in the game. None of them gone back-to-back 50. I did not expect Zach Hyman to do it. Now, the other thing, and this is not an excuse, but I just think it's important when we have a conversation. So the year when Zach Hyman, in between his 36 and 54 goal season, he has a skills coach, and they spend a lot of time. Now, I didn't get this from Zach, but I have it approximately 25 to 35 hours that you're working with skills coach over the summer. And it's a lot of puck touches and a lot of just skill work, backhand, forehand, in close, up tight, all that stuff. Well, this past season, due to the shortened off season, everything else, you got to wear and tear in your body. Not as many hours, just because there's not as many time in a day, and it's a much more condensed off season. Is it a factor? I do believe it is. Anybody out there who's in a precision skilled occupation, which is what scoring is, you always are working on it. Always. Because it's otherwise you fall back a bit. And losing 1 or 2% can be the difference. Right? And look at Zach Hyman this year. He's had chances again, but now he's pushing some of them wide. Now, is it a direct correlation? I don't know. But I think it's something that you at least can discuss and say that's part of it. Maybe. So there are some goals lost between Hyman and Nugent Hopkins because last year they had combined for 17. And this year, between the two of them, they've combined for 5. So there's 12 goals. Now, if you throw in Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and Connor Brown, well, their goals are up from the first quarter last year. Connor Brown obviously had none. This year he has 3. Where the big gap comes is honestly the power play. 13 goals, less overall from their forward group, and the power play has 11 fewer goals. Big difference. Right? That's the difference. Now, Evander Kane, no one's replaced him. And I think sometimes he gets lost in the conversation of who they're missing. I hear Holloway, I hear McLeod, I hear Fogle, sure. But they miss Evander Kane the most. You know how many goals Connor Halley, Evander Kane had in the first quarter of the season last year?
Not off the top of my head, no.
11.
They miss it.
Yeah. And he's physical, right? He hits, big body. He's and you know, some people, I didn't have a great year. Yeah, I don't care. He's banged up. We all saw he's banged up. Still scored 24 goals. But he had a really good start to the year. And so they haven't replaced it there. But still, again, it comes down to the man advantage. That's where right now their best guys on the power play, 13 fewer goals this season than last, and they have 11 fewer power play goals through the first quarter of the season. It's right there. It's right in front of you if you want to see it. That's the difference. It's not Fogle. It's not McLeod. It's not Holloway. It's their power play. Their power play is 22nd in the NHL. They don't have one game with 2 power play goals. That's it. Fun fact, Stu Skinner's allowed 4 fewer goals this year in the first quarter than he did last year. Not saying that he can't play better. Yes, he can. He can play better. There's no question. Probably their best element of their game has been their overall defensive game 5-on-5. It's been pretty solid. A lot of the metrics. Now, Chris Knobloch said he'd like a little bit more predictability in their defensive play. Right? Knowing, like, I think if an example for me was go back to the Marner overtime goal. So Marner is normally a passer. Right? Everybody look at his career numbers. Everybody knows he's more of a pass than a shoot guy. Skinner's playing deeper because he's expecting a pass. Bouchard plays it like, well, I'm not going to let him make the pass. Right? So not great communication there. Because if you want, and so now, to Marner's credit, still made a good shot. But that's a little bit of communication there. You're like, hey, we know the guy likes to pass, but we just can't, give him, downtown, or what somebody's got to say. Somehow communicate better. Right? That's just one example where I don't think the goalie and the defensive at times are lockstep in unison. So give me your thoughts on the orders. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. It is the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Coming up on the show today, we are, of course, Lorianne Munzer will be by. Matt Verderam will join us, talk some football. Craig Button, as always, joins us at the 4 o'clock hour spec. And LT, we got Cam Tate in the 2-minute warning. Sam Rosen has been calling Ranger games for over 4 decades. He is retiring at the end of the season. We're going to have Sam on. And obviously, he was there when the Rangers won the Cup in 1994, which... you know what? For an organization that hadn't won at that point in like 50 years. So, obviously it was a huge championship for them. Went through the Henrik Lundqvist era, who's a really good player. And now they're pretty good. So we'll talk to Sam about that. Some of his favorite calls over time. Well, we'll get to all of that and more. Your text, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Guys, the Oilers have played a lot of hockey the last 4 years. They're tired long-term from Phil. Potentially, but the Florida Panthers went to back-to-back cups. I don't know if I can completely buy that for sure. We'll see. Hey, boys, J.C. Tremblay scored a goal like that back in the 70s from laid-back Lenny. Lenny, it's a great memory, my man. I don't remember that goal, but I'll take your word for it on J.C. Tremblay. Nice. Hey, guys, is Glenn Galton still leading the power play? Yeah, 100%. They're not going to make a major change just because, I find some people just want to quickly give up and let's fire someone. Firing someone's the answer. It's not. You can't just quit, right? Too many people do it. If we want to be honest, look at relationships. You get married. Jesus, coming out of a hard time. I'm out. Well, you're going to find someone better. Guess what? Now, sometimes you do find someone better. Good for you. A lot of cases, not so much. You just find someone different, not necessarily better. And you got to work on things. You work through the lows and the highs. And right now, the power play's in a little bit of a funk. Now, I actually went back and was remember the Oilers power play in the playoffs against the Kings in Vancouver, and they really kind of dominated them? They didn't have a ton of motion on the power play because of how teams penalty kill. But what you do need, because remember when McDavid used to just come slashing down, right? Well, nowadays, how the teams play, you can't do that because the defenseman's right there. That's why you don't see that play as often for the Oilers in the power play. But for the Oilers power play to work, you need quick puck movement. And you got to get shots through. So you move the puck quicker. Bouchard's going to have a better chance on having shots blocked. Because how about this on Evan Bouchard, who's been very good in his career getting pucks through? Not this year. Evan Bouchard, through the first quarter of the season, has had, way too many shots blocked. It's too much. He's had 74 this season. He only had 44 last year. That's an increase of 30. That's massive. You go from 44 to 74. It's like a 68% increase, right? It's huge. And, I asked him about it after the game because I don't know if you're watching, you saw it, especially in the third period on that second block. You could see the frustration. And he says, man, it's just kind of how it's going for me right now. I got to get pucks through. I'm hitting guys on the edge of their stick, smaller guys that usually would go through. Now it's not going through. He goes, I got to be better because the guys work hard to get the puck back to me, and then I don't reward them because the shot gets blocked. And so does the increase in shot attempts block impact the overall power play percentage? I believe it does. Now, not to the extent that it drops it all the way to 22nd. But it impacts it because now you're not getting pucks through. A lot of the penalty kills, not all of them. I think there's like the Oilers and 3 or 4 others that kill kind of like Edmonton. And the other ones, though, they go 3 high. Where you can expose them a little bit is down low. And so Edmonton's got to get a little bit more there, right? And everybody's watched the Oilers power play for 5 years. They're the best when Leon's the shooter and Leon's the scorer. And so far, only 2 goals for Draisaitl on the power play. He's got 15 goals in the season. He's having a great year 5-on-5. But his power play numbers aren't where they normally are. Like this guy has scored more power play goals than anyone in the Oilers franchise history by a mile. He scored more power play goals than anybody in the league the last 3 years. But he's only got 2. And we haven't seen him set up as much for the one-timer this year. So there's elements of the game that got improved. But it would help with Bouchard getting a few more shots through. No doubt in my mind. Guys, you think they're reclining too much on the Bouchard bomb? Seems like they won't go to the net with the puck anymore. Most of Minnesota's goals came from mucking up in front of the net. Lindo. Well, Lindo, you're bang on there. Every one of their goals is right around the net. Edmonton could use a few more of them for sure. Bouchard does have more shot attempts this year. Yes, no question. Obviously has way more blocks, so that's part and parcel. I see too often when the Oilers point men do have a shot and it's open, there's no one in front of the net. And I'm not talking in the front. I'm not talking close. So yes, I think that's another area, little small details that would help them offensively. Right? They got to get more from the slot. They just have to. That's what slotting around the net, man. The best scorers can beat you from outside, but at the end of the day, the majority of the goals are scored from there. They just are. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
For Legacy Heating and Cooling. Some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your mighty ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems working right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no principal payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. May the better team win, and may you eat the better pizza. Order an extra large New York style one-topping pizza for only $17.99 today at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.227, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. As always, the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca and Lotto Max $75 million up for grabs tonight. Oh, good luck, boys and girls. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca and stay within your limits as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And hey, all you coffee lovers, you got to love it when they lower the price. They've lowered all the prices, all the sizes of coffee, starting now at only $1 at McDonald's. Whether you are black, like it 1 cream, 1 sugar, maybe 2 and 2, whatever tickles your fancy. You're getting great coffee at a cheaper price right now, only at McDonald's. And we have a very special guest who joins us in town because the New York Rangers are taking on the Oilers tomorrow night, the late game on Hockey Night in Canada. Rangers come in, of course, one of the better teams in the East. Tough 3-2 loss last night in Calgary. And our guest has been calling Ranger games for 4 decades. And this is his final season. He's announced he is going to hang up the microphone at the end of the year. Sam Rosen joins us. Sam, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Doing great. A little cold, but doing very, very well on this road trip. It's always fun to come up here in the North Country and to see everybody. Unfortunately, we only get here once a year, but it's always great to see a lot of familiar faces and get ready for some great hockey.
Sam, I mean, 4 decades of play-by-play in the NHL. It's an amazing run. And are you soaking it in a little bit more, knowing like, unless these two teams meet in the Stanley Cup final, this will be your last game in Edmonton?
Yeah, as I go around, I don't think about it because I've kind of pushed it out of my mind for a little bit, let it sink in March or April as we're getting down to the final games of the regular season, and hopefully there'll be some playoffs after that. So I've kind of pushed it aside, but when the game is over, and I realize, like last night, this might be the last time I'll be in Calgary for who knows, unless I choose to take a vacation up in Calgary. And same thing with Edmonton coming up tomorrow night. So it pops into the mind. Memories come in, and they're always positive memories because it's been a joyous ride. It's been a wonderful, wonderful career and experience, and I'm really enjoying the games now even more than ever. And I've always enjoyed them, but they're even more enjoyable now.
Sam, I would assume obviously the highlight was the 94 season, the Rangers end their lengthy drought, and, you're calling Stanley Cup games, which is amazing. Do you have a specific game or moment against Edmonton that's fairly memorable in your 40 plus years?
Boy, that's a tough one to single out. I would say to you, just coming in the years when the Oilers had all the superstars and the future Hall of Famers led by Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and Glenn Anderson and Paul Coffey and Grant Fuhr and on and on and on. I think those are always special. When I think back in the 80s to the teams that were dominant, like the Oilers, like the Islanders, those are special because it's so rare now when a team can dominate for more than a year or two. We saw back-to-back Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. We saw back-to-back Stanley Cups with Tampa Bay, but it's so hard now to do that. Those years when you had the superstar teams, those were really special.
Sam, you've had some pretty superstar teams over the years as well for the Rangers, and some great players. Obviously you start with Messier when they won, and then you go through Jaromir Jagr comes through, and then you got that Henrik Lundqvist and the King for a long, long time. You got to really know the players over the years, and when you look at kind of that Messier team and, the Matteau goal, it's hard to put into one, but what is one of your favorite calls? Not maybe most memorable, but what's one of your favorite calls for the Rangers over the 40 years?
I would say there are a few of them. Usually they're calls that are in overtime. The one that immediately comes to mind is a couple of seasons back in the playoffs, a Game 7 between the Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Artemi Panarin scores in overtime in Game 7, a series in which the Rangers were down 3-1. They come back, they win the series, and eventually go to the conference final where they lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But a goal like that always comes to mind. Any overtime goal where suddenly the game is over and the team has won and the ability to move on, that's something special. But I have to say this, the other things that come to mind in the series against Vancouver in 1994, Mike Richter, penalty shot save on Pavel Bure. That was really special. And of course, the Game 7 at Madison Square Garden, where the Rangers win the Stanley Cup finally. Nothing beats that.
Sam Rosen joins us 4 decades as the voice of the New York Rangers. He is in his final season calling Ranger games, and probably got a very good chance for them to have a deep playoff run. And Sam, what's unique about the Rangers and the Islanders rivalry? Like, I still love the fact that Ranger fans still chant "Potvin sucks" this many years later. I just think it's it's like a fun thing. Like that rivalry, and obviously in the 80s and the 90s, there was a little bit more fisticuffs and stuff, and then the games were a lot more, I think, physically intense than what they have now. But from a broadcasting perch perspective, what is your favorite road rink to call games from, and why?
Oh boy. Well, I'd probably have to take it back a couple of years before the new buildings started to arrive. You go back to the old Chicago Stadium. That was a real special building. You had the brick walls, and the sound would reverberate off the walls, and you just every minute was electric in that stadium. Of course, the Blackhawks had great teams, and it was an original 6 rivalry. And to go into that building, that was one of my favorites of all time. Any of those old buildings, the Montreal Forum, Maple Leaf Gardens, Boston Garden, you had mice running across your feet during the game, but the broadcast location was so close to the ice, you could feel it. You could feel everything, every hit, every pass, every scrape of the ice. You could feel it, hear it, sense it. Those were special buildings. I think now, as the new buildings have come in, some of the broadcast locations are farther up. We've seen it because the owners and the want to sell suites, and those are very important. You got to make money. I totally understand it. But when you're farther away from the game, you don't feel it as much. Probably right now, I would say Bell Center in Montreal is the best location to do a broadcast game. The gondola at Bell Center is really close to the ice, in toward the ice, and you can see the plays developing, and you can feel the game, and that's something that's really, really special.
Sam Rosen joins us. Sam, you've had a lot of memorable calls. We asked you about yours. You're obviously probably not going to remember them, but I do have one call that I've always wanted to get your thoughts on. So I just want you to listen to this call because we have used it many times on our show.
Avery to Paul Mara. Mara moves in. Pass. Score! Jason Strudwick wins it in overtime. An unlikely hero.
Are you kidding me?
Sam, when you have a guy like that score overtime goal, what was going through your mind?
Jason Strudwick was one of those players, a great teammate, a great guy to be around. Didn't play all that much, didn't get all that much playing time, didn't stand out as a player, but always gave it everything. And it's one of those players you kind of root for. So when he scores an overtime game winner, that's really, it makes you feel good. You really root for the guy deep down. You want him to do something that will impact in a game. And when I hear that call, you realize this is a guy who didn't score many goals in his career and didn't get the opportunity to score that many, and especially a game winner in overtime. So that's a fun call to hear again about a good guy, a guy who spent a couple of seasons in New York, and as I mentioned, was a good teammate and a team player and a good guy to have around.
Well, Sam Struz, of course, lives in Edmonton. He's a huge fan of yours, and he's on the line right now. He wanted to say hello.
Sam, how's it? I'm good. I can't believe when you were going through all your favorite calls, you didn't bring that one up. The most unlikely goal scorer scores, and you don't even bring that one up. Of course you go with Messi and Mateau.
There you go. It with Messier and Graves and Leach, that was commonplace. But Jason Strudwick, that should always stand out in my mind, and I'm going to keep it tucked in the back in my memory bank.
I love it. Well, Sam, congratulations. And I've always been a huge fan. Even before I came to New York, I always listened to you calling the games and then the football, obviously, as well. And so congrats, buddy. I'm really happy for you. Enjoy your next evolution of life.
Well, Jason, thanks. As I said, it's been a great run. It's wonderful hockey. It's wonderful to be around the players. I think the thing that I enjoy more than anything is getting to know the players and getting to know the stories of how they made it to the top of their profession. These are the best players in the world. You were one of them, and the stories are always something out of the ordinary and something special. How you made it to the top of the top of the mountain in the NHL. So those are something that really stick in my mind, and I'll miss that a lot being around the players.
Well, Sam, Struddy, of course, scored that overtime goal, but he also scored a very memorable shootout goal right before Marik Malik, if you recall. And do we have that one too, Cons? Here, I want to listen to this one, Sam. Because that one maybe is even more unexpected.
Strudwick. Jason Strudwick gets the chance on the play, and the Rangers need one here to continue this thing. The 14th round. 3-2 Washington in the shootout. It's Strudwick in. Fired. Oh, baby.
Now, Sam, I know that's not your voice because we were trying to find it, but I was curious about it because John Davidson, like, you can tell the surprise, like, oh my God, he scored. And we have a lot of fun with it. But like that whole it's still, I think, the longest shootout in NHL history, with Struds and Malik going back to
rounds.
back.
Yeah, that was 15 rounds. And I was up in Buffalo getting ready to do a football game the next day and watching that and listening to it. That was Mike Crispino, who was filling in for me. He did the play-by-play, and that Struddy's shootout goal, and then Marik Malik with the winner, which shocked everybody. But they had gotten down to the short strokes. You had to use everybody on your bench. So Struddy was up, and then came Marik Malik, and yes, 15 rounds. And I watched it and was jumping up and down in my hotel room when that happened as well.
Sam, I'm wondering. You've done so many games in so many years. How long did it take to kind of get used to your new partner, right? And the guy would come in like John JD was obviously amazing, but you've had so many great ones. Does it take a while to kind of get that familiarity and closeness with him?
I'm probably one of the luckiest guys in the world. Like you say, so many partners. I really haven't. When I started full time in 1984, I worked 2 years with Phil Esposito. Phil had been working with my predecessor, Jim Gordon, and Phil was having a great time, Hall of Fame player, went right into the broadcast booth, and we worked together for 2 years, and then he became the general manager of the Rangers. JD, John Davidson, came down from Canada, where he honed his skills and became the best in the business, and he and I worked together for 20 years. When he was done, Joe Micheletti, who had been doing Islanders hockey, stepped right into John's spot. But Joe and I had gotten to know each other for when Fox had the national contract. The two top broadcast teams on Fox Hockey for 5 years were Mike Emmerich with John Davidson, Sam Rosen with Joe Micheletti. So when JD became the general manager of the St. Louis Blues and left the Rangers broadcast booth, it was just an easy transition for Joe to come across from Long Island to Manhattan and take over that spot. And we've been together for 19 years. So it's been a fabulous run. There've been one or two that have come in here and there for a game, but basically I've had three guys, Espo for 2 years, JD for 20, and Joe Micheletti for 19 now.
It is amazing run. Struddy, thanks so much for taking a few moments to join us today, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats again, Sam. Enjoy the tour, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you very
Right on,
much.
boys.
Sam, we got we got Ranger Nick, who's been a fan of our show for a long time, texting all the time. We just want to say, hey, just let Sam know we got huge fans out there. He loves listening to your games as a huge Ranger fan. And, to be, as part of an organization, an iconic original six, and of course, the city that never sleeps. You mentioned many times you've been blessed. I think fans have been blessed to listen to your passion of the game. I know you called football for a long time and hockey, and they're very different because hockey's like boom, boom, and it's back and forth. Whereas football, you have a play and then you reset, and then you have another play and then you reset. I know it's like asking which one of your kids is your favorite. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you though the different cadence and skill to call football and hockey. Is there one that you felt you were better at?
Well, I think being a sports fan, and I've been a sports fan since I was a little kid. When my parents would go off to work, we would play. We'd go to school, come home, and we'd play sports in the schoolyard and in the parks. And sports has always been a big part of my life, and I've been a fan of all sports. And the ability to call many of the sports has been something special. So you basically adapt. I grew up listening and listening on radio, watching on TV, some of the greatest announcers in the world. Being in New York, we had all sports going on: football, basketball, hockey, baseball, everything was going on. And you heard different announcers with different ways to call the games. And I think I just kind of gleaned the best what I liked from different announcers. Some of them were very you could tell their preparation. They knew what was going on. That was important. Others were excited about all plays. Mel Allen was one of my favorites. He called Yankees baseball in the 50s and the 60s, and he always brought excitement to his broadcast. So you kind of took little things from everyone, and then when you get the opportunity to call the game, you put that out there, and hopefully it works. TV is different from radio, as we all know. Radio, you become the eyes and the ears of the listener. The listener is depending on you to describe what's going on. TV, you let the camera show what's going on. You stay with that. But TV is more, for me, identification. In hockey, let people know who's on the ice so that all of a sudden a guy scores a goal and you don't want the viewers saying, where did he come from? Identification, very, very important. Football, as you pointed out, yes, very structured. Ball, there's a 3-yard run, gain of 3, 2nd and 7. The analyst comes in, he calls the replay, and you said it. What's happened, the only change that's come about recently, I would say over the last 5 to 10 years, situational football has become more prevalent. So teams are changing players virtually every down. If it's a long distance, you're bringing in pass rushers. Short distance, you're bringing in run stoppers. And it's just, you kind of adapt. And basketball, again, a different cadence in the game. Fans can see the ball. It's clear. There are only 5 players. They stay on the court for long periods of time. You kind of adapt to everything. Baseball, slow moving. You have to have stories. The number one baseball announcer of all time, Vin Scully, always had stories, whether it was about the players or about the team or where they were. You had stories. In hockey, it's a fast-paced game, and it's probably what I love the most about it is the great speed of the game combined with the physicality of the game. These players do things that most athletes can't do, and it makes it very exciting. And one thing I've always said to people, it's a game where you never know when that great play is suddenly going to happen, where somebody's going to have a breakaway, or you'll see a fantastic save. And it makes the sport so exciting and so special.
Sam, thanks so much for this. Enjoy your last regular season game in Edmonton tomorrow, and Oiler fans hope that they get to see you in the playoffs, because that means the Oilers and the Rangers would meet in the Stanley Cup final.
It would be a wonderful thing if that happens, and it would mean I'd wind up working right till the end of the playoffs, because back in the States, TNT has the TV contract, and Kenny Albert, who is the Rangers radio voice as well, would be doing the TV games on TNT, and I would get to do the radio all the way. So if it's Rangers and Oilers, I'm all for it.
Awesome, Sam. Thanks so much, man. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
That is Sam Rosen. What a career and what a voice. He's had some great calls over the years. And thanks for Strutty for taking a few minutes out to thank Sam. Have some fun talking about the OT winner. Quick break. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll return. Lorianne Munzer will join us.
Zachary Martin Hyman. The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net. At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Island Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
On Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook's Pause of Friday as we welcome in Olympic gold medalist and, of course, mental training coach Lori Ann Munzer. And Lori Ann, the Oilers are coming up, and it's funny because last year they had a 5-day break at around the similar time, and they really kind of took off after that. You don't get a ton of practice time in a hockey season now. Where you can, because some practices you can go, you practice, but you're not really practicing, right? It's 20 minutes and yeah, you go hard, but you can't work on everything. There's just not enough time. So, and you might practice one day, then you play a game and then an off day and then you play another game. And so then you don't have a practice for another 5 days. But when you get to practice 3 times in a 4-day span with nothing interrupting you, I'm assuming like in any training, you naturally, it's muscle memory. It's a refocus and a reset. Is that fair?
I think so. And I think it's looking at it and going, hey, here's another opportunity where there's no pressure. We've got those 4 days, we've got those 5 days, whatever that time limit is. And it's actually extended. It's not short crunch. Oh my gosh, I have to really, really, really make it count right now, right here. And you can relax just a little bit more so you can hone up whatever skills drills that you're working on.
The Oilers, it's not an awful start compared to last year. Obviously, it's not where they want to be, but they position themselves. Worst case scenario, they're 6 points out of first. That's worst case if Vegas wins their game in hand on the Oilers, which they'll make up next week. And best case scenario is they lose and then they're only 4 points, right? And 4 points with 61 games to go is not a daunting number by any stretch of imagination. I don't care how you look at it. That is not something that's going to intimidate anybody. Oh, geez, we got a lot of work to do here. But there are some areas of their game that just, they've talked about tightening up. Connor Brown said today we got to get a little bit better at carrying over. So we set up the next line to have a good shift rather than extend our shift. Then the next line comes out and all they're doing is playing defense. So there's no chance to momentum. Now, team sports very different than individual, but you work with a lot of team sports and that mindset that, I want to get out of my rut for sure. But sometimes I got to think bigger than just me if we want the team to have success. And that's got to be the biggest mental challenge sometimes for athletes.
It is sometimes because you might be great at one skill and somebody else may not be as good as you. And then it's like, oh man, come on, dude, like let's pick it up. And you have to actually help the other players elevate their game and bring it up to a new standard, a new level, because that is part of the leadership without really thinking about it as leadership. Is you want to bring the team so that it becomes the we. It becomes, I think you had said earlier in the show today, it's a unified group and each person has to come to the play, because if you have one person that's out of sync, we'll call it, it's like, it's not going to jive. It's not going to flow as good. You're not going to be able to do what you normally do as a unit. And you have to bring everybody up. It's not just about you, but you have to sometimes carry other players.
Now, I know we want to touch on motivation. And obviously, it's very different when we talk motivation for young athletes than it is for professional athletes. That's their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, most athletes will tell me, hey, 95% of your motivation comes from within. Because if you can't be self-motivated, it doesn't matter. The coach isn't going to give you any given Sunday speech every game and you're, okay, now I'm ready, right? Like that's not real. It's great in the movies, but it's not real. But
it works with the little kids a lot.
Yeah,
it does.
Yes. I was just going to like, for little kids, there's what are some good ways to motivate little kids? Right. And when I say little, that's, teenagers, any age, like they seem to be a little bit more accepting of, because let's be honest, you only play one game a week, maybe two. So it's a little bit easier.
Yeah. Motivating them is how can you make everything fun? And not everything is going to be fun, but how can you bring that fun element? How could you take somebody, make a game out of it? Some people are going to be way more competitive and they live for that. They love it. They'll eat you. They'll spit you out. And others are, it's okay. Go ahead. Here, you take the puck and you run with it. And it's just, you got to make it a game, because if it's a game, there's less pressure. it moves you into flow, and you seem to have really good shots. You seem to have really good maneuvers. And it's going back to the basics. How can you build those skills and do the drills that make it fun? And when you can do that, it's like, okay, if you did it with one eye closed, could you do it? You know, if you only skated with one foot, or you did one push off with one skate, how far would your power, the movement, carry you forward? And can you carry the puck without lifting your stick or moving your stick left or right? Or how many times can you go left, right to the goal?
The motivation for professionals is obviously a little different, but they still play games. I watch them do shootout games. I see that you still have to have fun, even as grown men, grown women. You like to have fun, and in walk of life, it doesn't matter. You know, team building stuff at your work right now, people do. But the balance between motivation and when some players are lacking in confidence, is it more important then? And how do you go different motivating a player when maybe their confidence isn't at the level they want it to be?
I think confidence and having a successful experience go hand in hand. You have a successful experience, like a drill that you're doing or a game that you're doing, your confidence is going to go up. If you don't, the confidence goes down. A lot of the confidence stuff, if you're not on the ice, how do you bring it back? And part of that is through the visualization of you executing the moves, the drills, the maneuvers perfectly, because you're going to get really close if you do that multiple times over and over and over again. The other thing is the self-talk. Most of us go more towards the negative. Right. And that's automatic, right? That's the default. But what if you flipped it to the positive? What are you doing well? And you literally start repeating it over and over again. You know, is there a drill that you see maybe some of the younger athletes doing that they could improve on? Is there one that, you know, you've seen recently? What would that be?
Yeah, for kids, and you know, obviously every sport is different, every kid is different. The community making it fun is important, and for the Oilers, you know, and we'll bring it back around to the pro team right now because it's a pretty hot topic. And you know, there's the reset factor. As much of it is about training, it can be just 5 days without a game, which is something that doesn't happen very often all season. Can be like, you know, when you were competing, and there's just an ability to exhale. When all of a sudden you're like, okay, I get to practice still, but it's not a race, right? And might make you hungry to get back to the race. But sometimes I think people need, the Oilers have played, I think there's only one team that's played more games than them at this point of the season. So they've had a fairly condensed schedule compared to other teams to this point. And there is that fine line where even though you love it, you can get a little bit fatigue factor. So how does a mental reset work that's different than a physical?
The mental reset is that word exactly. Yeah, we heard Fleury say, you know, when he let that first goal in, which was like, oh man, like he used a few words, you know, fudge, darn it, whatever. He said, forget about it and move on. And that's the thing, is you got to have something that's going to flip you to put you back into the game. So when I was competing, I had learned delete, and I would like stomp my feet. I'd, you know, slap my arms. Because you say it once, it doesn't do anything. You say it twice, and it's like your head goes, whoa, what just happened there? And it just does that quick refresh.
So you would say delete, like you'd say it twice?
I would, but I'd say it with power. Like I could probably blow the speakers and everybody out of their cars if they're listening right now. Absolutely. Delete. And I'd stomp my feet as I was doing it, because you're full on energy into it. And it's the energy that you're moving of going, it's a really crap energy to get me back into the game. It's like somebody smacks you on the shoulder, on the backside, on your back, and you don't expect it. Oh my goodness, you will like snap out of it. So pinch the inside of your leg. We've talked about that before. How do you move yourself within 2 seconds out of a funk and get back into the game?
How do you train that? Is it just a matter of doing it over and over?
Yes, it's the affirmation that I was talking about just before, right? Mine was strong, power, no fear, no mercy. And I kept saying it. I tell you, Jason, after 5 minutes, I would be hydroplaning. It was like, get out of my way. I'm coming through. You know, the monster's here. And it's like, you can feel it. I can feel myself starting to go into that right now because I know where that can go. But it's the energy, and it's talking and taking something, flipping it into a positive, short, powerful statements. It could be just those one words,
Yeah.
or it's like, no, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm confident, I've got it. And that can be enough.
Well, it's funny because it was on YouTube, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and then stumbled across this video of George Kittle before a game on the sidelines. And George Kittle, who's big, powerful tight end, and he's talking about, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm capable. And he was saying it quite loud. Right. And then he had because he'd been mic'd up for a game, but he's like, I don't care if I'm mic'd up. I got to do what my routine is.
Absolutely.
And so there's lots of people being like, oh, why would you say that? And I don't think they understood. It's like the power of positivity to tell yourself, I'm capable, I'm powerful, I'm strong. And you got to say it, and you got to say it powerful and believe it. And I'm trying to get my son, because when he says it's like, I'm strong, I'm like, no. Like, you got to, I said, I'll leave the room. You just do it yourself. But you got to hear it. Like, go in the garage when no one's around, wherever before the game. And I think sometimes people forget the self-talk about belief in yourself. You have to remind yourself you're good.
Yeah. And that's the intrinsic value. It's like you can look extrinsic outside of yourself and you're going, come on, feed me. But the fire, the desire, the passion, it's all within you. If you don't light that fire, you're done. Like you are so done. And if you go back to doing the affirmations, doing the mantras, put your headphones on, get inside your car and just let it rip, you will totally change your performance. You'll come out of the car and honestly, you just will be vibrating. I could see, the athlete you were talking about, and I'm going, I could imagine headphones and just into it. And it's just like, let's go.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a difference. So the mantra, the positive self-talk before a game for young athletes for sure is something to get them comfortable doing, and not to be embarrassed to say that. Doesn't mean you're a bragger. Doesn't mean that you're reminding yourself that you believe you're good.
Yes, and of all the things that can be and that you can do, and it's like, boom, let's show the world what we've got.
Yeah, awesome. Lorianne, great stuff. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Jason.
Lorianne Munzer joins us every Friday here on Sports 1440. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Booster Juice. 25 years. Woo. Could be telling themselves original, the marathon, the creamsicle. They're awesome because they are. Download the Boosters Reward app. Stop in and get one today, only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Just 2 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. The Jets in Pittsburgh taking on the Penguins. That's at 5 o'clock. Then at 8, you get the Ducks and the Sabres. The Oilers back in action tomorrow. They'll take on the New York Rangers of the Ice District. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock. In the Association NBA Cup group play rolls on. The Nets take on the Sixers, Wizards, Celtics, Warriors in New Orleans. Bucks up against the Pacers, Trailblazers, Rockets. The Nuggets take on the Mavs, and the Kings in LA to battle the Clippers. The New York Giants have released quarterback Daniel Jones. He signed a 4-year and $160 million contract back in 2023. He'll now have to clear waivers before becoming an unrestricted free agent. That would be on Monday. In the WHL, you got the Oil Kings in action, taking on the Medicine Hat Tigers. Puck drop just after 7 at Rogers Place. In the AJ Fort Mackle host Whitecourt, Camrose in Canmore. In Olds takes on Drayton Valley. And in the BCHL, the Crusaders in Cranbrook take on the Bucks. That'll get going at 7. Golden Bears hockey. They host Saskatchewan tonight and tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Both nights down at the Drake. The Pandas in action this weekend in Saskatchewan. 6 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock tomorrow. Golden Bears and the Pandas volleyball down at the Saville Center this weekend. Both squads hosting Saskatchewan. Pandas at 6, the Bears at 7:30. McEwen men's hockey team hosting Regina at 7, while the women in Regina taking on the Cougars. That one will get going at 6 o'clock. And you've got college football tonight. UTSA hosting Temple. Purdue's in East Lansing taking on the Michigan State Spartans, and number 24 UNLV travels to San Jose. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by our co-host Wanye Gretz from Oilers Nation, and we'll hear another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning, plus some NFL talk with Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
I'm Gene Principe for Legacy Heating and Cooling. Some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your muddy ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems working right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no prints of payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Giddy up for family fun that's second to none. Your Edmonton Oil Kings are putting the Western in Western Hockey League tonight. It's Country Night in Ice District as Edmonton faces the Medicine Hat Tigers. There will be Oil Kings branded cowboy giveaways, plus a petting zoo. And at every home game, score Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is king-sized. Edmonton Oil Kings, Medicine Hat Tigers, Country Night, 7 o'clock this evening. Great family entertainment starts at just $20 a seat. Tickets and more at oilkings.ca.
We all live in Canada, right? And we all know it gets cold, right? And every second that ticks by, it gets colder and colder. Well, GS Construction is prepared for that. GS Construction is the group that makes sure all those underground pipes that lead to and away from your home stay flowing. Because pipes freeze. You don't want that. So GS Construction has been hard at work as winter approaches, preparing our underground systems to run smoothly. To find out more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Could your school, charity, or community group use financial support with a capital project? Maybe Vision Credit Union can lend a helping hand. Vision proudly offers helping hand grants of up to $10,000 to qualifying organizations for capital projects that benefit our branch communities. Apply by January 31st, 2025 for a chance to qualify. Helping hand grants up to $10,000 from Vision Credit Union. Learn more at whatsyourshare.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having an awesome day. Loads of text line in 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Remember, we had a lot of people. Gregor, it's Positive Friday. What's the code? The code is Gregor50. That's Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 play, whether it's on NHL, NBA, NFL. You pick whatever you want, and best of luck. You do player props. Heck, you could go on the season if you like. Do whatever you want. PlayAlberta.ca. Just stay within your limits. We got a lot of texts to get to. Hey, guys, I listen every Friday just to hear Lori's segment. She rocks from Allie Mac. Well, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate that. Hey, guys, why do the Oilers not use condor players to fill in for injuries? No development plan for players. There must be some good 20-plus instead of 35-plus-year-old players. Should be some here all the time to take a position to develop from Stu 47. Well, they're not going to have a player here who's not playing. That's not developing, right? And with the salary cap this year, the Oilers have ran pretty much a 21-man roster. I think, next year there shouldn't be any bonus overages that they have this year. We'll get rid of James Neal's buyout. So they, you know what? Obviously, they'll have Leon Draisaitl's contract kick in for sure. But, would they like to have 22? But rarely are you going to keep a player who's young and not be playing. Right? They develop by playing. And so they play in the minors. And right now, the Oilers, the only two young guys that I think are close to NHL is Matt Savoy and Max Weiner. Matt Savoy's in his first year pro. Why is anybody in their right mind wanting to rush Matt Savoy here, thinking that it's going to be good for his development? It isn't. The NHL is damn hard. It's really hard. Right? He's not crushing the American League. He's playing okay, but he's not killing it. So I'd much rather have him developing there. They don't have a guy like Dylan Holloway spent a few years in the minors. This is only Matt Savoy's first year in the minors. So I think people need to be realistic about his development curve, and I think he will be fine in the future. But he's not ready now, today, right? Like I know people ask about it because it's like, wow, geez, hey, I heard he's a high prospect, but that doesn't mean he's NHL ready, right? Not at all. And like they called up Drake Caggiula last night. You're going to play Savoy on the fourth line? Drake Caggiula did exactly what you wanted for a fourth line player last night. Was physical, had 2 big hits, right? Agitating guys, responsible defensively. That's what he was. That's not Matt Savoy's game. Not at all. Not recall Matt Savoy to play him on the fourth line, right? It doesn't make any sense. And they're not going to do it. So I think it's best for Matt Savoy not to be here all year. Me personally. Now, if late in the season you want to give him a little candy, I'm totally fine with that. No issue at all. But I want Matt Savoy to maintain a high level of confidence, which is so vital for young players. I think one of the things that gets overlooked too often when people think about recalling the player is you recall them because I want Matt Savoy in all offensive situations. I've seen some teams take a guy who is ready to play in the NHL, but not really contribute. He ends up being a bottom 6 player. And then he kind of gets pigeonholed as a bottom 6 player because he never had time to develop his offensive skills at the pro level because it's hard to do in the NHL. And then he's a bottom 6 player. And there's nothing wrong with that. But could he have been an offensive-minded player if he would have spent a full year in the minors getting lots more puck touches? So I wouldn't look. Matt Savoy's not going to come in and solve the problem for the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers' offensive problem, the big reduction in goals, falls mainly on the shoulders of their power play. 20 goals last year in the first 21 games, 9 this year. Overall, the team scored 13 fewer goals. Do you know the defense scored the exact same numbers last year? 13 goals in 21 games last year, 13 goals in 21 games this year. And no, it's not Fogo. McLeod. By the way, McLeod had no goals. Looking at their last season. So, and then he got hot, remember? And unfortunately, he got banged up again, which is unfortunate for him. But and then he played really good in the second half. But if we're just talking right now to start the season, the Oilers' overall goal production is down 13 from last year. And 11 of those goals come on the power play. Fogo, McLeod, etc. weren't on the first unit power play. They got a little bit of canning time in the second, but the second, Nurse had a power play goal last year. Kane had a few. They scored one very late. I think there's like a second left with their second unit, which is great. But overall, their first unit power play has seen a big drop, like from 20 to 9. How many more games could they have won just because of that? And I know everybody wants to focus on goaltending. It's a concern at times, yes. But Stu Skinner's actually allowed fewer goals in the first quarter this year than he did last year. And then he came on, he played pretty well. That's why people that want to trade him, some want to send him to the minors. Like, I think you just need to step back, exhale, be like, hey, still a young goalie. There's ups and downs. I can show you goalies around. Look at Philip Gustafson this year for a minute. Go look at Philip Gustafson. He's a guy. Good year, tough year, good year, tough year. It happens. And so would you prefer Skinner not to have a slow start 2 years in a row? Of course. He'd prefer it. But it's happened. And now it's what do they do to get him back playing well? The coach thinks they could be a little bit more predictable in front of him. And he goes, last night was not a game that's predictable for your goaltender at all. So that's a small part. I think he could make a few more saves. I think he could be better off of the rush reads for sure. But their offense has to get going. As bad as the goaltending's been in your eyes, you know what's been worse on home ice? Offense. They're 31st in offense on home ice. 2.27 goals a game. They scored 4.16 goals per game last year at home. It's almost 2 less goals per game. Of course, you're not going to win at home. I've already been shut out twice, for goodness sakes. And last night, look at their first 2 goals last night. Like that Draisaitl goal, that'll never happen again in the history of Draisaitl's career. There's no chance. None. Right? Corey Perry got fortuitous bounce, great. But up until Skinner scored, they didn't score a goal off of their own stick. So it wasn't a great offensive game. They were tired. To me, they looked tired last night. And I got confirmation from a few people that their team was tired. And that'll happen every now and then. I get it. Fine. But that doesn't change the fact that their offense for the entire quarter just hasn't been as good as they would like. It's got to be better. We'll return. When we come back, we will talk more on the orders. We got Cam Tate in the 2-minute warning. Craig Button will be by. Speck and Wanye and Lowetide. Also, Matt Verneram. It's quite the Thursday night. Winston. You see Jameis Winston? God, that guy's one of the greatest pre- and post-game interviews I've seen in a long time. It was unreal. It's hilarious. And you watch that and you just wonder, imagine where the Browns might be this year if they just wouldn't have played Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson was terrible. I'm not talking as a human being. I'm talking as a football player this year. It was awful. Jameis Winston's giving him a little bit of life. Now, he's not perfect, right? Threw an interception. I get it. But he also had a touchdown drop, right? Njoku, anybody who's got him in fantasy knows that should mean a touchdown. Big win for them. Well, they're not going anywhere this year, but big win over Pittsburgh in the snow. And was that ever a great picture to watch that game? I was watching intermission at the Oilers game, and the snow's coming down. Like, oh, if you're a football guy, there's just something about it. It's pretty special. We'll talk about that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Some places offer small Black Friday sales, but at Wolf GMC Buick, we go big, baby. All in-stock 2024 models are on sale. Get 0% financing up to 72 months on the amazing GMC Sierra Half-Ton. Employee pricing on 2024 GMC Sierra Heavy Duties and Yukons. 0% financing on Buick Encores. There's even more. Get a limited time offer of up to $1,000 Black Friday bonus on in-stock GMCs, Buick SUVs, and pickups. Wolf GMC Buick, seconds from the Anthony Henday. Get it now, because these deals are on for a very limited time.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's number one.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Schweiner. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
it might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours
If
today.
E.D. Hervey was a pilot, I would, without a second thought, give him all my air miles.
Customers with the perfect glass for any job, from home to auto and even commercial.
sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks as always for listening and watching. Presented by playalberta.ca. Get in the game tonight. Use the promo code Gregor50. Also get your tickets, $75 million for Lotto Max. Get them tonight at playalberta.ca. As we get to our football report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Winter's here. The snow's here. Last thing you want is to have your heater or conk out in your house. So get your furnace up to date. Get a new one right now, legacyheating.ca. Matt Verderame joins us from Sports Illustrated. And Matt, it was a picturesque night at times in Cleveland. The snow is coming down. The only thing better maybe in the picture were Jameson's Winston's pre and post game interviews. What a classic interview session from him. And obviously he was happy the Browns get a win. And man, it's hard not to wonder just how much more competitive they would have been if they just didn't play Watson all year and started with Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly make the case. Look, that game, first of all, it's funny. You're right. I mean, it was picturesque. It was supposed to snow a little. It snowed like crazy. I was sitting there watching the game. My wife was in the room with me. She could not care anything less about football. She could not understand why they would play in those conditions, which just cracked me. You watch football your whole life, you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Like, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they? I mean, well, that's the way it goes. Look, I think the Browns, come this offseason, they're going to have a real legitimate situation to ponder here going forward. Watson, Deshaun Watson, so 2 more years. The contract is immovable. They're not going to be able to trade him.
Yeah.
You can't cut him. Do they simply just tell him, look, thanks for the memories, stay home?
Yes.
And just play, bring back Jameis on a 1-year deal, and maybe go draft a kid in the first round, depending upon, the way the board falls and everything else. But I just think if you're the Browns, you went to the playoffs last year, and you really took off once Watson was no longer in the starting capacity. This year, I'm not saying they've been great. They've been decent. They've beaten Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Could they have been a playoff team if he had played all 17 games? Maybe. I sure as hell couldn't have hurt compared to the way Watson was playing. So I do wonder if you're Cleveland moving forward, do you just say, hey, listen, take the money. We don't care. Stay home. We're going to bring Jameis back for 1 year and whatever, $12 million. And we're going to draft anybody you can get, Jalen Milroe or Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, whoever you want to throw in there. I think if you're the Browns, you got a lot of thinking to do.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it makes sense, Matt. Why compound the mistake? We all know it was a bad contract. It's been a terrible contract. The minute they signed it based on what he'd done off the field, I was like, karma is a bitch. And guess what? It is biting them hard right now. And so to me, there's no saving you from the cap hell. So just bite the bullet, say thanks, as you said, for the memories and move on. And I really don't even think it's that tough of a decision. Honestly, is there anything could the NFLPA fight that? Or if he's getting paid, they don't really have anything for him to fight?
No, they couldn't fight it. Okay. They couldn't fight it at all. So, look, realistically, the NFLPA, now if the Browns tried to sever the contract,
yes,
the NFLPA would go nuts, right? But the NFLPA can't tell them that they have to play him. So, look, and if you're him and you're not going to play anyway, wouldn't you rather just take the check, stay home? I think for all parties involved, it's better. The Browns can move on, even though financially they can't move on. Watson's hitting his paychecks. Especially because of the situation and the background to all this, I don't think the NFLPA is going to kick up a lot of dust on that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things they'd be like, look, you're getting paid a fortune. This has been a disaster in every conceivable way. Let's just call it good. And if you're Kevin Stefanski, if you're Andrew Berry, you just want to move forward. I think you reach a point, even if you're constrained against the cap for a few more years because of this, I think you do just reach a point. Now, obviously, this is a much different type of situation, but like the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what the cap ramifications are. I don't care what they get. You just have to move on after this year, period. It doesn't matter if you're eating a cap. It doesn't matter that you've got a big void year in 2026. At some point, you need to just look at your situation with clear eyes and go, you know what? Even if there's some short-term pain in one way or another, we have to just move forward. And I think that's where a couple of these franchises are at.
Matt Verner, I'm Jones. Matt, we move ahead to the rest of the game in the weekend, and we're getting close now. You look at the playoff picture; it's sorting itself out a little bit. The Steelers' loss obviously benefits the Chiefs now. They're a full 2 games up on them in that race. 1 game behind the Bills now. The Cincinnati Bengals. Is it done? Could they make a heroic run here and get to I guess they could win out and get to 10-7. If you're 10-7, you're probably going to get in. But do you think the Bengals are that good? They tease you and you think they're good, and now they've lost their last 2. So what do you make of them? I know it's a bye week, but what do you make of it?
At this point, it's really look. Football prefaces. I've been the guy all year long who keeps saying, "Don't sleep on Cincinnati. Don't do it." And I feel like a dope every time I watch. I don't think they're going to get in, but here's the good news for the Bengals. If you look at the picture and their schedule, the team if they're going to get in, the team they got to catch is in all likelihood here, Denver. They play Denver. They play them the next to last week of the season, and they play them at home. So you control, if you win that game, now all of a sudden you're a game back and you're on the tiebreaker. And so all you have to do is win that game and outplay them by one game the rest of the way. And Denver's schedule is not easy. It's not impossible, but Denver still has some tough games. They still play the Chiefs again, which is the last game of the year. So there's a question: do the Chiefs need it, and how hard do they play? But they do play them again. Denver's got to play the Chargers. Obviously, I just mentioned the Bengals. They still have to play the Colts. So it's not brutal, but it's not a schedule you're going to go, oh, the Broncos are just going to win 5 games. But the question for me with Cincinnati is, okay, A, the way you've played all year long, can you beat Denver? And then they have 2 games here against Pittsburgh. They play them next week, and then they play in the last game of the year. This upcoming one is in Cincinnati, I believe. You have to win the game. Yeah. You just have to. Now, I will throw one thing out there that I think is interesting with that loss last night by Pittsburgh. Everybody just looks at the Steelers and goes, oh, they're 8-3. They're going to make the playoffs. Have you seen their schedule? Like, there's a real world where they look back at last night and go, oh, my God, that's what kept us from getting there. Like, they have to play Philly. They've got to go to Baltimore. They've got to play Kansas City on a short week. They have the Bengals twice. I mean, there's a world where you're sitting there and the Steelers are 9-7 hosting Cincinnati the last game of the year, and they've got to win. Like I don't think Cincinnati's going to catch Pittsburgh, but if Cincinnati beats them next weekend, at least you start to look at that thing and go, well, one team has an easy schedule on the Bengals, the other one has a brutal schedule and already has one loss to the other team.
Matt Verner, I'm joined. Matt, the NFC West, it's super close. One game separates all 4 teams. The Cardinals are 6-4, and then the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers are 5-5. The 49ers, there's lots of rumblings that Purdy might not play this weekend. They got Green Bay. I know they got McCaffrey back. What's the concern level about the 49ers potentially missing the playoffs and how tight that division is? And most likely, there's only one team coming out of that division.
It's extremely high. I mean, they just announced Brandon Allen's playing on Sunday. So, let's face it, they're losing to the Packers. So, barring a miracle, they're going to be 5-6 going to Buffalo. And it's Purdy playing in that game. That is like, you have to win. And I mean, look, they're talented. Nothing. If they're healthy, could they go to Buffalo and win? Sure. But it feels like this season is kind of careening off into oblivion. They can't get healthy. Nothing has worked right for this team all year long. I look at the West right now. I think it's Arizona, the Rams, to some degree. Like, I think San Francisco is almost a 14 in the race right now because of all the injuries. So, the Seahawks got a huge win against the Niners last week. You look at this week, huge game between Arizona and Seattle. Huge game. If Seattle wins that game, all of a sudden you're looking at it going, Seattle's got a great shot. And they have a win at that point against the Cards. They already beat the Niners. They lost the Rams, but they could certainly win in LA. Like, I think that division's probably going to come right down to it. But the Niners, my big question is, how long is Purdy out? Is this a one-game thing, or is Purdy going to be out multiple weeks? If he is, I think they're done. There's no way they're winning in Green Bay or in Buffalo with Brandon Allen.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with you on that one. That's going to be a tough pill for sure. The battle really in that NFC East, you could have the Commanders and the Cowboys all making the playoffs as 2 of the wild card teams. The Eagles look very good. Not the Cowboys, sorry. The Eagles and the Commanders are in. I meant the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers in that division. The Vikings, some people thought they had stumbled a bit, but now they've suddenly won 3 in a row again. And they're 8-2. The Lions are legit. Like, they might be the best team in football, top to bottom. But where are you at, Matt, on the Vikings right now?
I think the Vikings are good. I don't think they can win a Super Bowl because I just think the quarterback is too low ceiling. But look, I think the Vikings are a team that if they get, they should make the playoffs. Obviously, if they get in the playoffs, they're dangerous because they have a very good defense. They're very well coached, and they've got talent on offense. I mean, they've got major guys. Whether you're talking about Jefferson or Hawkinson or Addison, even Aaron Jones, like it's a potent group. And if Darnold has one of these games and plays well, and O'Connell really schemes it up, you got a problem. And you look at the NFC, who's going to make the playoffs? It's probably Philly and Washington in the East, probably those 3 teams in the North, whoever wins the NFC West, and then I would imagine Atlanta. That's probably it. And like if Minnesota ends up being the 5 seed, which it currently is right now, and they played in Atlanta, I'd pick Minnesota to win that game. Minnesota's better than Atlanta. I mean, I don't think I don't think the Falcons would beat them. I don't care that game's in Atlanta. There'd be 50,000 Vikings fans down there. So, right now in the NFC, the only team I look at and just say that team, I would be really surprised if they're not in the NFC title game is Detroit. Like in the AFC, maybe this is naive. I just think Kansas City and Buffalo, that's the AFC championship game. I just don't see anybody but the other one knocking the other team off. Where in the NFC, like I think Philadelphia is better than Minnesota. I wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota beat them. I wouldn't be shocked if Green Bay beat Philly. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody came out of the West and got to the NFC title game. Like I think the NFC outside of Detroit is wide open, and even the Lions, as great as they've been, look, does the pass rush at some point, does that show up and become a problem? Does Goff have one of those games where he just doesn't play well? And I mean, I think the Lions are clearly the favorite in the NFC, but I look at them a little bit different. I think they're terrific. I haven't gone to the Super Bowl. I picked them for the year. I just think that, they are vulnerable in ways, although I don't know that anyone in the NFC is equipped to expose that.
Yeah, well, they got some key injuries on defense. And,
right.
That to me is the one, injuries at the worst time can derail almost any team, as Matt Verneram joins us. What about the NFC South, Matt? The Falcons 6-5. They're 2 up on the Buccaneers. The Saints have, although they've won 2 games, I'm not sure if they have enough to get back in it. Or with when you look at there's still 6 games remaining, are you confident in the Falcons, or do you think that's still open?
I think the Falcons are going to win the division. I do. They beat Tampa in Tampa. That's a big win. Look, I think they're a 9-10 win team, but I think that's enough. If Tampa didn't have the injuries it's had this year, I think the Buccaneers will go in the division. And I'm not ready to completely close the casket on Tampa, but the Buccaneers are going to have to make one hell of a run here. And I just don't know that they've got enough. But to me, the Falcons are the worst team that's going to make the playoffs in either conference. I just don't. And it's weird. Like the Falcons have talent. It's not like you look at them and just go, they're no good. But they have no pass rush. They have the fewest sacks in football. Judon was supposed to be this big addition. He's been terrible. Defensively, other than A.J. Terrell and the safety, so the secondary, everybody else, it's like, I don't know anybody's going to show up consistently. Offensively, they're talented. Cousins has been fine. They've got Pitts. They've got London. They've got Bijan Robinson. Algier has been good for him as a secondary back. The line is good. Like they're not a bad team, but they're very inconsistent. And I just think, they'll win the division. They could win a playoff game. I think that's the absolute ceiling. Like I just can't picture a world where they go to Philly in a playoff game, or they go to Detroit and they win. I think that would be a bridge way too far.
No, that's fair. What about MVP? Who do you have as your MVP favorites right now?
I have Lamar, but I think it is very much TBD. I think it is very much to be determined because Lamar has been incredible.
Yeah.
Like I know people will sit there and say, well, he's on a second place team and they're 7-4. Okay, I get it. I've watched every snap of Ravens football this year, and I'm telling anyone who hasn't, if Lamar Jackson was average or just good this year, that team would be 4-7. They can't stop anybody. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad they are against the pass. They're giving up more passing yardage than like 5 or 6 teams in the league are giving up total yardage. Every time he has the ball, they got to go score. I think if you want to argue for Allen, that's fine. My only caveat with that is I feel like a lot of people are doing it based on his one run against Kansas City. Oh, it's a great play. But like, you're not going to be thinking about that play in a month from now. Like nobody's going to be sitting there week 16 going, listen, Lamar's got better numbers than Allen in every conceivable way. But remember that run he had in week 11? Like nobody's like I don't want to turn that into something that's just iconic. I mean, maybe for a Bills fan, it's iconic, but like for most people, it was a great play. And it'll be, on the highlight reels of the NFL films at the end of the season. But I think Lamar's the guy with the caveat again of just, if they end up finishing like 11-6 and they're the 6th seed or something, then maybe Josh Allen finally gets his. I'll tell you the truth. If the Bengals were any good, Burrow would be the runaway.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Burrow has been unbelievable this year, and they just can't win a game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Burrow might throw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns. Like it's I almost would argue, quite frankly, he should still be the MVP. If they make the playoffs, he's the MVP of the league. I don't care if they're 9-8. Like, he is the sole reason that team's not going to go 3-14.
Yeah, well, here's very quietly one thing, not for MVP, but second most pass attempts over the last 4 weeks in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. After a slow start, they're back to throwing the ball. He's got, DeAndre Hopkins. I know the Chiefs are 9-1. It sounds crazy, but don't sleep on the Chiefs offense, especially with Pacheco coming back.
I when I came up and covering the league, I was focused on them and it grew up in transparency, a fan of them. So I've always been super close to what they do. The one thing about the Chiefs, I am flabbergasted that whenever you hear this like national stuff on some of these big shows and whatnot, that people just don't seem to understand about them. I don't want to say that they don't care about the regular season. Like, obviously they care if they win the professionals. They want to go out there. They want to play their best. But they're like half asleep in some of these games. Like, every time I see people say, well, why don't they blow teams out? Because it doesn't matter to them. They're not worried about whether they win the game by 8 points or 28 points. Like, they used to blow teams out all the time. And then it got to a point, I think, where, the one thing that is true about them that is not true of any other team in the league, they are everybody's Super Bowl. Whenever they play somebody, that team, whether they're a bad team, a good team, that team is keyed up to the hilt to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't care about 95% of these teams that they got to play. It's like, okay, like even the Bills game, they certainly have a ton of respect for the Bills. They would have loved to have won, give the Bills all the credit in the world. But the Chiefs weren't flying out of Buffalo that night going, oh, I don't know if we can beat them now. I don't know what we're going to do. Like, they're looking at that going, all right, fine. We're going to finish 16-1. We're going to go 15-2. We get the 1 seed. We'll see them in Arrowhead. If we see them in Arrowhead in January, we're probably going to win. It's typically what we do. I think there are real issues. Their second cornerback position is a problem without Jalen Watson. Their pass rush has been very spotty the last month. Mahomes, I think, does have to play better. I think he's thrown some balls this year that he doesn't normally throw. But it's hard to get worked up about them when come January what that team's going to look like. It's coming. It happens every year. So, listen, if I had to pick today, I still think it's them in Detroit, the Super Bowl. And I think that's a great game if it happens.
Whew, be unreal. Matt, as always, my man, we appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend.
You got it. Take care.
There you go. That's Matt Verderam. Join us, a great NFL writer at Sports Illustrated. We got the 2-minute warning button, Wanye Gretz. Also, we're going to dig in more on the orders. We're at the quarter mark of the season. Hasn't been awful, but I sense this is more frustrating for fans. And I think the frustration from all the texts, tweets, everything we get on the show, I think a lot of it's actually misguided. 90% of it is at Skinner. And I'm telling you, that's false. We'll discuss it next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice. EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365. UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking. Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service. Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project. Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Mr. Rooter plays a video game.
This is wonderful. A world where a plumber is the hero. My hat is off to you, Mario. Although I personally advise against eating any mushrooms found in a drain pipe. I won't make that mistake twice. All I've got to do now is hop over this Goomba and save the princess. What? No way. I pressed jump. I pressed jump.
For a super plumber with an all-time high score, call Mr. Rooter.
Get early access to Black Friday prices now at The Brick. And on Friday, November 22nd, for one day only, they're releasing even more Black Friday deals. Get 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair, up to 30% off sectionals and recliners, up to 30% off bedroom, dining, and home entertainment furniture. Plus, buy more, save more. Get an additional $300 off major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EWEL. Get your power play amped with EWEL, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. EWEL.ca is your partner in power.
He's not just another pair of glasses. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for checking out Edmonton Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back as we continue on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. We'll get to Wanya in a sec, but first let's get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. If all of a sudden your furnace conks out, you're freezing, guess what? No overtime charges. Call Legacy; they'll come fix you, and don't charge any more money. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in our city, has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair, and due to his disability, he's unable to be on radio until now. Through the wonders of technology, Cam's words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
If Edie Hervey was a pilot, I would, without a second thought, give him all my air miles. For me to suggest I wasn't excited about Hervey's press conference. Wednesday is like saying the Edmonton Oilers are on a multi-game winning run because Hervey took off with all engines running and, let's be honest, zoomed right into some turbulence. We had to keep our seatbelts fastened rather tightly, I might add. Hervey spoke with compassion, with emotion about the Edmonton Elks' current state in the Canadian Football League. He said, if players didn't buy into the Elks' philosophy, call a cab, thanks for coming. The airport is down the road, and talking the good old CYEG, Hervey said there are CFL marquee players being told not to come to Edmonton because of the mess on and off the field. Hervey says that's about to change now, right now. That winning 5 or 6 games doesn't cut it. Making the playoffs doesn't cut it. A Grey Cup championship is a standard. the way of Elks doing business. In doing so, Hervey, who was named Elks General Manager and Vice President of Football Wednesday, is coming back to Edmonton, where he first came as a player, worked himself into a scouting role, and then general manager. Won a Grey Cup 9 years ago. He knows the Elks' way of doing things, and more importantly, the importance and challenge of keeping that tradition alive and kicking. Hervey has not, in any way, shape, or form, to loosen his tie, fold his hands behind his head, and put his feet up. Not at all. This ain't no retirement project for him. On the contrary, he unpacked his hard hat, his overalls, his gloves, his work boots. He said every day had 24 hours, and he plans to use every last one of them to get the job done. He is ready. At the end of the press conference held in the Elks dressing room, you could feel like loosening your seatbelt, even unbuckle it. Because under your captain, Ed Hervey, you've reached your cruising altitude, heading in the right direction. The 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Gregor Show, Monday, Friday, Sports 1440.
We had Chris Morris on yesterday. We're going to play a little bit of Chris Morris later on in the show if you missed it yesterday. He had some fascinating insights. Did you know his first meeting when he took over as president of the Elks was to go for dinner with Trey Ford? Smart. Now, Morris was a tackle. I think he understands the importance of the position, the quarterback position. He had to protect him for many years of his career. If you have a good quarterback, you got a much better chance of having a good team. And he sat down with Ford. They went for dinner, and he really wanted to kind of understand, what Trey Ford's experience was in the organization. And on top of that, he also mentioned something he felt as a president. And he goes, you know what? Whoever replaces me, if you're going to be the president of a football club, you should have some semblance of understanding of the football element. Business is vastly important, sure, but you need to have some understanding of the football element. And that hasn't been the case in the last few hires in Edmonton, especially the last two. They've been debacles. And I found it interesting because now you could be like Hamilton because they have a president of business and they have a president of football operations. They have two people. But if you're only going to have one, I would agree with Chris Morris. It's imperative that that person has understanding of the football side, not just the business side. And I think anybody who's seen how the Elks have gone here the last 6-7 years, it's pretty apparent. And good leadership is like bad leadership. You have bad leadership, you see what happens. If you have good leadership, usually your chances of having success doesn't guarantee you a championship. There's no guarantees in that, but gives you a much better chance of continued success, which is something that the Elks haven't had for, never the Elks have ever had, but the organization itself is something that they're hoping to get as we welcome in Wanye Gretz, and leadership there makes a big difference in Morris and Hervey. The Oilers 10-9-2 at the quarter mark. Worst case scenario, they're 6 points out if Vegas wins their game in hand of the division. Best case scenario, they're 4 points out. It's not an awful start. It just seems like a very frustrating start for many of the fans. And I find that a lot of the frustration is heavily weighted towards Stu Skinner, and I think that's misguided.
One of the things that blew me away last year, being one period away from winning the Stanley Cup, was how negative a lot of people were all the way through. Like Game 7, second intermission, I was reading on Twitter, Ken Holland should be standing down in disgrace. Like, what are you talking about? We're Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. You would think, given the decade of darkness and all the awful times we've been through, that this Game 7 Cup year would be like a resoundingly positive thing, but it wasn't. They had to win 16 straight. All this terrible stuff's going on. So I don't think the boat's quite on fire like it was last year, but I don't think that we have real experience on winning seasons here. So everyone's freaking out again. Like, is this par for the course? Maybe. They're definitely within striking distance. This team is a team that gets hotter as the season goes on.
Yeah, historically, they have done that. That's a very valid point.
They're not out of it.
Oh gosh, they're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I don't think there's any. I think there's. You know what? I find the headline reporters from outside the market, that's all they talk about is goaltending. Because they see it and they're saying, oh, well, it's goaltending. It's not just goaltending. Last night, guess what? Chris Knoblauch doubled down. He felt Stuart Skinner played fine. He wasn't the issue. He didn't like his defensive play in front of the team at all. Now, the team looked tired, and I do think fatigue's a legit thing. It happens every now and then. And so, Minnesota's a better team, no question. But goaltending wasn't what lost in the game last night. The only reason they had 2 goals was on 2 of the luckiest goals. Well, definitely one of the luckiest goals I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a luckier goal than the Draisaitl goal. That was crazy. But their offense, takeaway last night, their offense has been worse this year than the goaltending was in the first quarter last year. Their power play with McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins is 22nd in the NHL. The San Jose Sharks. Can you even name who's on the Sharks' first unit power play? Anyone? Can you name the 5 guys? It's my job, so I know who it is. I'm just telling you. Most people, and I wouldn't expect you to. Right? Would you name who the 5 guys are on Columbus's without Johnny Gaudreau? Rest in peace. They're ahead of the Oilers in the power play. The Philadelphia Flyers, who have had the worst power play in the NHL for 3 consecutive seasons, are better on the power play than the Edmonton Oilers. Like, the Oilers' power play has not been a factor barely in any game. Like, they've scored 9 power play goals. They've yet to have a game where they've scored 2. And I can think of the Ottawa game as a timely power play goal that kind of impacted the game. They've had power play goals in losses that, they weren't winning. Like in Columbus, right? They score that late power play goal. Like, who cares? It's 6-0. It ends up 6-1. Like, it's irrelevant. And they've had 4 of those. Like, their power play in Toronto, it's 1-0. They're up on the Leafs. They get a 5-minute major. There's your chance to bury the Leafs, at least with 1. They didn't even get a good chance. Then you go into Montreal, who is one of the worst teams in the league at playing from behind. The game's 0-0. The Oilers had 3 power plays when the game was 0-0. Didn't get a sniff. And end up losing that game. Like, their power play, to me, because it's funny. If you look at expectations, who do you have higher expectations for? The power play or Stuart Skinner? Anybody had higher expectations for the Stuart Skinner? You'd be lying. Nobody did. Who's playing worse?
Well, why is it so terrible? I'm glad to be on the air to ask you this live. I'll hang up and listen.
It's a really good question. There's a few things at play. I found there's a little bit more onus. Now, Bouchard only has 9 shots on goal, and shot volume from the blue line does not result in successful power plays. That's been tracked and studied for the last 3 seasons, right? Heavy volume shooting from the blue line doesn't work anymore for good power plays. He's had more shots blocked than ever, so that's a factor. But they're not getting enough shots down low. That, to me, is their biggest one. And the other thing is, it's very simple, but Leon Draisaitl, when their power play is the best, Leon Draisaitl's their main shooter. He's their main trigger guy. He only has 2 power play. He's played great 5-on-5, but he's only got 2 power play goals so far this season. He has the most power play goals in the NHL the last 3 years by a fair margin. Yet he's only got 2 so far this year. As a group, they have 9. They had 20 last year. So that's 11. That's a 55% decrease in that. Bouchard's had a 68% increase in shot attempts blocked because he's normally been very good at it. And then I just look at their overall offensive numbers. I know lots of people, Fogel's gone. This guy's gone. Ryan McLeod had no goals in the first quarter. Fogel had 3, right? Corey Perry has 4. He wasn't here last year, right? So you look at it's not their depth guys why their offense is wrong. It's strictly their power play. And I get that McDavid's on, and I understand that Draisaitl, those guys are great players. But on the power play, they're not coming close to doing their job. They're just not. And that's their offense overall is a big factor. On home ice, they're almost 2 fewer goals a game than they were in the first quarter last year. They scored 4.19. They're at 2.27 this year. So think about that. Everybody who's mad about goaltending, the Oilers' home ice goaltending ranks 30th amongst goalies. The Oilers' offense at home is 31st. So you can't just blame the goaltenders, right? If you want to say Skinner can play better, I would agree with you. He can play better, no question. but don't heap everything on one guy. It just doesn't. It's terrible analysis. I'm sorry.
When the PP was like the best in the last 80 years or whatever it was, how many seasons ago was that?
2.
Who's off the PP1?
No one.
It's the exact same people.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been the same 5 for the last 3 years, basically. Ever since Hyman came here, he split the first year, then he became a regular on it. And Zach Hyman, his goal scoring's down in the first quarter, no question. And a part of it, now it's not an excuse. This is just to paint a picture and give people some context. So the summer of 23, when the Oilers got knocked out by Vegas in the second round, they had an extra month and a bit of training. And so just way more time, everything. And you're disappointed, but you're not the same disappointment as when you lose in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. It's not the same, right? Because I think they lost out May, it was probably 5 or 6 weeks difference. Anywho, that summer, he had scored 36 goals before all this time. Lots of guys have skill coaches now in the summer. Now, there's still a limit on it because you might think that skill training is easier. It's actually harder than a lot of the other stuff. Because it's a lot of core muscle work in all the movements that you're doing, right? Moving to your left, upstairs, moving to your right, upstairs, repeatedly, right? And so usually talking to some of the skill guys, it'd be 25 to 30 hours in that time that you'd work on. Might have been down to 5 or 10. That's a significant drop off. And I'm not guaranteeing that that's why, but it is a factor. I think when we've seen Hyman, his finish or polish around the net this year hasn't been as crisp. And I don't think you just lose that ability, but sometimes if you don't get to work on it as much as you'd like, it starts to erode slightly. And the difference between backhand shelf and backhand crossbar can literally be half an inch. And Hyman, I think, has hit 4 bars this year, right? That could be the difference. And, no, I'm not saying, and I told everybody, there's only 2 active players that have scored 50 goals back-to-back in the NHL, Ovechkin and Draisaitl. I didn't expect him to score 50. So you have to have more realistic expectations. I think of a drop, but he's on pace for 12. Obviously, I didn't think that was going to happen.
The real Zach Hyman's somewhere in the middle.
I think Zach Hyman still is a guy who has 35 to 40 goal potential every year right now at his stage of his career. Right? That wouldn't, if Zach Hyman came in and scored 37 goals, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe he only scored, or I can't believe he scored 37 again. I think he's that skilled of maybe even 35 to 45 in that range, give or take. Because sometimes you get a few lucky bounces and depends how many goals get called back, etc. But that's an element that's not there. And that's part of their inability to score around the net, right? He doesn't have as many shots, but he's also missed the net way more down low. And that's just the difference sometimes, from being a backhand in the net to a backhand an inch wide of the net. And it's a fine line sometimes. And that's where the Oilers, to me, the biggest thing this 5-day break will be about their power play. Because if their power play gets going, it naturally will just feed into every other offensive element of their team. But their offensive scoring as a group, to me, is a much bigger concern than the goaltending. Well, I shouldn't say much bigger. It's a bigger concern for me than the goaltending, because the goaltending is one person. And if one guy can start finding his game, great. The Oilers got lots of guys who got to find their game offensively, but mainly it's the first unit power play that has to find their game. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire. Hey, they found the key to success for you. All of you who are still waiting, there's always a few of us, I know. We're procrastinators by nature at times. You don't have your winter tires on. You're slip sliding away. You're like, I got to get them in. We'll get to fountaintire.com. And guess what? If you don't know where to store your tires, they can do it for you. Fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Just 2 games on the schedule tonight in the NHL. The Penguins host the Jets at 5. Then at 8 o'clock, the Sabres taking on the Ducks. The Oilers back in action tomorrow, taking on the Rangers, 8 o'clock down at the Ice District. In the Association, NBA Cup group play continues. Wizards hosting the Celtics, the Warriors in New Orleans. Bucks host the Pacers. Hawks taking on the Bulls. You got the Nuggets and the Mavs and the Kings in LA to battle the Clippers. In town tonight, the Oil Kings in action, hosting the Medicine Hat Tigers. Puck drop 7 o'clock in that one. And the AJ Fort Max hosting a Whitecourt, Camrose in Canmore, and Olds taking on Drayton Valley. BCHL, you got the Crusaders in Cranbrook take on the Bucks. That'll get going at 7 o'clock. Golden Bears hockey tonight. It is the Teddy Bear Toss Kings. They're taking on the Saskatchewan Huskies. Puck drop 7 o'clock at the Drake. The Pandas in action out in Saskatchewan at 6 o'clock tonight. Golden Bears And Pandas volleyball down at the Saville Center this weekend as both squads hosting the University of Saskatchewan. Pandas at 6, Bears at 7:30 tonight. And McEwen men's hockey will host Regina at 7. The women in Regina taking on the Cougars. That'll get going at 6. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by TSN hockey analyst and scout Craig Button. Plus, we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Worried about your debt but don't know how to deal with it? My name is Parveen Middleton, and I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I talk with people about debt every day, and I understand how stressful your situation can be. During a free consultation, I can show you how to lower your payment and become debt-free. I can offer you immediate relief from that overwhelming stress. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
As an Albertan, you expect the challenge of icy roads, but what you may not expect is Cross Mitsubishi helping you gear up for winter with winter tires. And now, for a very limited time, you'll receive a set of winter tires for free with your purchase. Don't wait. This offer won't last long. All from the home of the 10-10-10 warranty and Western Canada's largest 2024 Mitsubishi inventory, Cross Mitsubishi. Get your free winter tires now and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Avenue and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Barbecue lovers, this is the experience you dream of. Smoke, barbecue, and bar. Indulge your barbecue fantasies with fall-off-the-bone ribs, tender pulled pork, smoked chicken wings, and more. Featuring a variety of custom dry rub flavors. The cocktail menu brims with classics and new favorites to discover. For stylish corporate events or an unforgettably tasty night out, Edmonton's home for barbecue is Smoke Barbecue and Bar, downtown across from the Ice District. Smokebar.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Wanya Gretz, Connor Halley with you on a lovely, positive Friday. Please turn your lights on as you make your way home. Remember, just because you have your automatic lights on, that doesn't mean your rear lights are on. You know, you want people to see you. No one wants to get bender rear ender on a Friday afternoon. the worst. Well, you never want to get in a car accident. Come on, who's kidding? It's never good. But if you can help make it safer for everybody, turn your lights on. It's a wonderful thing. Because I know some people you get in, oh, look, my auto's on. No. That's you, isn't it?
I'm learning a lot today listening to you talk.
Oh, my goodness.
We all need to change how we behave,
Are
I guess.
you one of those people whose lights you think are on because their front ones are on, but your back ones aren't on? You know that, right? You honestly didn't know that?
I'm not sure. When I get in my car and turn the car on, I can see the headlights come on.
Yeah. Well, then get out and see if your back lights are on.
Who drives the car? You want to ghost ride the whip?
No, just step out of your vehicle before it moves, and you'll be like, oh, they're not on the back.
Do I turn it left or to the right?
Well, I can't see your vehicle, but just turn it
where the same on all cars?
The little light knob. No, I don't think it is. I have no idea.
What's the setting I'm looking for? How do I know which way to turn it?
The light. Just turn it on the other one there where it says, well, I think auto on, well, the newer vehicles, auto means it's auto on for both everything.
Oh.
Or you can just have it to the auto because not your daytime running lights are different, right? Depends. Some cars only have 2 switches. Some have like 6 on it. Depends. Like some it's on their dash on the left. Other people, it's on the steering wheel on their signal. So it depends. Like I'd have to see your vehicle. Dude, I'm not a car expert. I don't know. I barely know the name of my car. I just know how to turn the lights on.
When I first started driving, I didn't know what high beams were. And
like as a 16-year-old?
Yeah. I was driving around town and my buddy gets in the car and he goes, what's that blue indicator thing? I'm like, that means your headlights are on. And he's like, oh, okay. Because he didn't drive yet. And I don't know how long I drove around my high beams on, but we think about that later on. I was like, you didn't realize either that my high beams are on. And he's like, well, you didn't know anything. It was your car.
Nobody in your family, your parents had never driven with you when you had your learners?
No, I don't think I did it when I had my learners. Like I got my first car. I didn't really know how it worked. And I would get in and turn on the high beams every time I got in.
Oh my God, that is unbelievable. Like you must have people flashing your lights all the time. Hey, people just saying hello.
I thought we were having a good time.
Some sort of light signal that's happening. Hey, hello. Let's go.
That car, Gregor, was also not automatic or standard. It was Honda-matic. So it had a choke on it. It was a 1979 Honda Civic. Super old when I got it.
Oh, you had the little, like you'd pull it out?
It was a choke.
Oh, yeah.
So if you didn't pull the choke out and rev the engine at lights, it would stall.
Yes.
So I would pull up on high beams on.
My buddy had one of those. I remember it.
And people always thought I wanted to race. So I would get dusted off the lights regularly by cars. I'm like, I'm just revving my engine to try to keep this thing from stalling as I'm driving around with my high beams on.
Oh my God. People think with their lights off is the interior lights are way brighter for daytime use. It's blatantly obvious from Sean. There you go. There's a little tip from Sean. I like it. Interior lights are way brighter for daytime use. So there you go, folks. There's a simple thing from Sean. I didn't even know that. So there you go. But mine are always on. So maybe, I don't know. All I know is turn. There's nothing more infuriating. Like, you know what? In daytime, okay, fine. But we know it gets to 5:30 now and it's dark. And you're driving and you've got some jabroni who's driving down the Henday and they don't have their lights on the back. You're like, what are you doing? And it happens like it's not a one-time. Like, this is pretty much almost a daily occurrence in the winter.
So
easily.
You're telling me that's me right now, probably?
Probably.
Holy moly.
Jeez. Like I'll be flashing people and they're still oblivious. Because if somebody's behind you and they flash their lights 3 or 4 times, it probably means your rear lights aren't on.
I haven't seen that though happening.
Okay, but
I'd notice that.
You would? Well, I would hope you would.
People used to race me all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then you didn't have your choke out. So
like 1 in 800 in those races.
Did you ever win any?
No.
No, that's too bad.
Not stalling was the win.
Yeah. That's fair. That is totally fair. We got a lot of text flying in 833-401-1440. Hey guys, a lot of people need to leave Skinner alone. Young goalie, local guy. He's a battler. My concern is the D and the fact they don't dominate the great team like the ones of the Wings of the 90s. They're guaranteed wins, and the Oilers are still questioning if they will win from Marty. What's funny is, now I agree with you that on paper, the Oilers' blue line doesn't look as good as last year. I agree wholeheartedly. Yet the results, if you look at the underlying numbers and everything else, shots, scoring, the Oilers' 5-on-5 defensive play has actually been the most consistent part of their game. Better than 5-on-5 scoring, better than the power play, better than the penalty kill, better than the goalie numbers. I would agree. I think most of us would agree that the Oilers are going to upgrade a defenseman, maybe 2 before the trade deadline. But right now, if we had a list of 5-on-5 goals for, goals like offense, defensive play, power play, penalty kill, goaltending, the top of the list, number one, most consistent would be their 5-on-5 defensive play, which I have to admit is a surprise because I thought it might have been their biggest concern. So if it can just stay there, and it's not great, but it's above average, it's more than serviceable. And if the power play can pick up and the penalty kill can keep going, that's 6 straight games now, 13 in a row they've killed off. And their goaltending doesn't have to be Shesterkin-like because they don't have a Shesterkin. It just needs to be serviceable. And now the one thing in front of them that I think you're right on, Marty, according to the head coach Knobloch, he wants his team defense at times to be a little bit more predictable for their goaltender. Because if there's predictability for the goaltender, it can be a little bit easier to play. So we'll see. Hey, guys, up until the last few games, our PK has been brutal. Now it's been great. Our power play isn't anywhere near where it used to be. Secondary scoring has been scarce. Goaltending has been average. Top Guns haven't gone nuclear, and we're only a few points behind first place. Throwing an invisible Nuge, snake bit, and now injured Hyman and underwhelming new wingers. 5 games in 8 days doesn't help versus a great Minnesota team. People need to calm down. It's coming from Mo Z. Hey, Wanya, I 100% agree. This fan base forgot how to have fun. We just don't know what it's like not to have the ship on fire. Just enjoy the ride. Cup finals was fun. Be mad if we lose in the first round. From Lance. Fair point, Lance. I think that's valid. Right? I think I can understand if you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not loving how the Oilers play. Totally valid. But to be calling for Stuart Skinner, you're never gonna win with Stuart Skinner. I'm like, you just went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. And if your argument is, well, he didn't make the save, well, are you saying, well, they didn't win because McDavid didn't score in Game 6 and 7? Got no points in Game 6 and 7 in the Stanley Cup Final? Would anybody say that's why they lost? I don't hear it. Because he did a lot of other good things, as did Stuart Skinner. You lost by 1 goal. You didn't score in your chances. In a 1 game, anything can happen. In a tight against a very good team, that's what happens. But to say you can't win with Stuart Skinner when you came within, 1 goal of winning, I would argue that the facts would tell you that, yes, you can. Because from Game 6 of the Vancouver series right through to the end of the Stanley Cup Final, the final 15 games for Bobrovsky and Skinner, identical save percentage. Skinner had a lower goals against average. So I think he's shown he can do it. And to say he can't steal a game, we all saw he did steal a very important game, Game 6 against Dallas. They got outshot 34-10. They lose that game. Is anybody 100% certain they're going to win Game 7 on the road in Dallas? I don't know. But you probably wouldn't want to play that because you'd be the underdog. So he's played big. Can he play better? 100%. I think it's fair to say Stuart Skinner can play better. It's unfair to say that's the only reason they're losing, and all of this anger and vitriol is on Skinner. Yet the power play is the one element of their game that's underachieving the most. Because it's been the best for 5 years, and now it's 22nd. The fact that it's behind Philadelphia is mind-blowing to me. The Flyers are the first team in NHL history to finish last in the power play efficiency 3 years in a row. First ever. And even they're ahead of the Oilers this year. So, there you go. 422, Craig Button will join us next. Gregor Wanye, Connor Halley, and the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the original, the Orangesicle, and the Marathon. Made with cranberries, bananas, strawberries, orange sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Ain't it beautiful?
What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Giddy up for family fun that's second to none. Your Edmonton Oil Kings are putting the Western in Western Hockey League tonight. It's Country Night in Ice District as Edmonton faces the Medicine Hat Tigers. There will be Oil Kings branded cowboy giveaways, plus a petting zoo. And at every home game, score Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is king-sized. Edmonton Oil Kings, Medicine Hat Tigers, Country Night, 7 o'clock this evening. Great family entertainment starts at just $20 a seat. Tickets and more at oilkings.ca.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $10,104 off select 2024 Sierra 2500 AT4 models. Make loading easier than ever with the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. Make hauling easier than ever with up to 14 available camera views, including transparent trailer view. And make finding tunes easier than ever with a class-leading 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. Yeah, let's get to work. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Adventure, laughs,
and a welcome tug on the heartstrings.
That's what you're wrapping up when you give a Duggan Cinemas holiday pack. It includes a $25 gift card and concession coupons valued at $15. Get yours between now and December 24th at Duggan Cinemas in Duggan Wellness Center.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanya and Gretz. Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $75 million tonight in Lotto Max. Good luck. Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. Let's go in the room now, brought to you by Action Electrical. Did you know that building owners can earn a refundable federal tax rebate up to 30% off of solar capital's after a solar project's capital cost, be a tax rate of $150K upwards on the big projects. It's called the ITC. You want to know more about it? Give them a call. Go online, actionelectrical.net, and they can help you find all the best ways for saving as you turn to solar. So we welcome in former NHL general manager, Stanley Cup winner, scout, of course, for a long time. Now he's ace analyst and scout for TSN. Craig Button joins us. Butts, how are you?
I am great, Jason. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm pretty good, man. Now, I know you, before we get to the hockey, I'm sure you saw the viral video of the pickleballer distraught after losing and kicking his opponent in the face. Have you experienced such vitriol on the pickleball courts?
Yeah, no, I've never seen that type of that behavior. I've never experienced that anything. I mean, one time it was funny. We were playing, and you use tennis courts, with pickleball lines and whatnot, and some tennis players were getting mad, and they were more mad that that it wasn't their sole use of it. And one of the people we were playing with got upset with them, and it looked like it was going to get testy, and it didn't. But it was more, that was the only time. And again, I'm just not going to be in a situation, honestly, Jason. If there's anybody that's even coming close to acting like that, like I'm just walking out. I am long past the stage where, like, you know, I'm going to be doing something recreationally, and I'm going to be getting into some type of scuffle or something, or watching somebody else get into a scuffle. Just not going to happen. But you know, we see it happen. We see it happen in pickup hockey. We see it happen in pickleball, and bottom line is, you know, I think people like that have to seriously examine what they're really doing.
Well, I know, Craig, for you, your biggest, I know your plan of attack is when you wear those short shorts in pickleball. Usually that just deters everyone. There's more laughter than anything else. So it's a smart strategy.
I have no comeback. I have none. Like, you have to understand, like, for me to have no comeback and to be speechless, kudos to you, Mr. Gregor. Kudos to you.
Now, I don't know if I was speechless and maybe not shocked, but man, Jim Montgomery, I think, is a pretty good coach, Craig. And I know that Boston, hey, they won 1-0 in their first game, and Lindholm scored his first goal in 18. So it's kind of funny sometimes when those things happen. But, you know, there's teams out there, like when Bruce Cassidy got let go, Vegas reacted quickly and went out and got him. And obviously it worked out. I think Montgomery's a really good coach. And somebody brought up the point, they think he might be the best served for a team that's on their way up, like Anaheim or other ones where you need a lot of coaching as much as you need, teaching as much as you need coaching. Do you think we will see a team react quickly to hire Montgomery?
Well, here's what I would say. And Jimmy, who's coached in the USHL, who's coached at Denver University and won a national championship, has coached in the National Hockey League both as a head and an assistant. Jason, he combines teaching and coaching, and he understands when coaching has to come into play, when teaching has to be at play. And I think that's a great quality that Jimmy possesses. When somebody, and to me, there's two coaches out there right now that deserve massive consideration: Jim Montgomery and Joel Quenneville. And if I'm a coach in the league, I'm sitting, I better be on top of my game, because there's capable replacements for me. And if I'm a team and I'm a manager and I'm looking, I go, geez, we need an upgrade here. Then there is, in my view, two really good candidates. Now, the Joel situation is a little bit different than the Jimmy situation, but you know, Jimmy came back after you know, going through his scenario when he had to leave the Dallas Stars and coming back, and the Boston Bruins gave him a chance. I don't have any question that Joel will get a chance, but these are two quality coaches. And Jimmy was a victim of a team that had poor goaltending this year. Their defensive play wasn't very good. That falls under the domain of the coach. And they have very little skill up front. They have very little skill up front. They have David Pastrnak, and they have Brad Marchand, who's 36 years old. After that, their lack of skill is stunningly low. Stunningly low. So I guess that's Jimmy's fault.
Yeah, it is odd. One other one that's surprising to me, and you know, it's 13 games now without a goal. I think it's only 4 goals in his last 45 regular season games for Connor Bedard. And I know that you have Chicago as the top 404 for 23 years of age, but he's still a teenager, Craig. And what are you seeing as some of the main reasons for his struggles right now?
That's a terrible team. And some of the players that they brought in there to support Connor Bedard have been an anchor. They've been an anchor on the team, and they've been an anchor on Connor Bedard. And, you know, good players need good players. You know, they had Dylan Strome. They didn't qualify Dylan Strome. You know, just like the mistake, they've made some massive mistakes in there. Like, if you think just because a kid that's 19 years old is going to go in there and carry your team, you're nuts. And I'll be quite frank here. I don't think they've done a very good job in surrounding Connor Bedard. In fact, I think they've done a very poor job of surrounding Connor Bedard. And I'm not taking, hey, listen, Connor Bedard, like, you know, is a good player. And there's no question. And Connor Bedard's a competitor. But you look at some of the moves they made in there, like, give me a break. Why we like Philip Kurashev, who's a good player, like, what's happening there with him? Because him and Bedard were really good last year together. So what's happening with him? And I think he's affected by some of the poor decisions that have been made. And we know where it's going. I mean, the manager's made them, and he's made some real poor decisions in additions to that team.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. That's and I like some of the rumblings of them speeding up the rebuild. I just think are it's misguided, Craig. Like, Bedard was basically the starting point of the rebuild, not the end point.
Yeah, like the very start of it, the very, very start of it. And again, like, oh, they're going to accelerate it. Like, did you see what Jason Dickinson said the other day? I don't know if you saw Jason Dickinson's comments.
No, I didn't.
Talking about, well, you should go find them. I'm going to paraphrase.
Okay.
So they were talking about, because they've gone to a direct-to-consumer type model with their broadcast and everything. Jason Dickinson, I'm paraphrasing here, but you go find it. But he said, we're in danger of becoming irrelevant. Because, fans can't see our games. He goes, I got a good solution for it. It's called cable. Like, Jason Dickinson, a player for the Chicago Blackhawks, is calling them out as being potentially becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, well, that's not good.
Go find it. It's pretty impressive by Jason Dickinson.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because, Craig, it wouldn't be the first time. Remember when before none of their games were available on local TV for a long time? It was awful.
That's exactly what's come back to. So, but you think about a team that's not compelling, that's struggling and everything, and go ahead. You're going to get high picks. You're going to have an opportunity to draft players high. Okay, that's the first step. And you better surround them. I'll go back to Edmonton, and I'm going to come back to Edmonton here, and I'm going to go back to the great Glenn Sather. You look at what Glenn did when the Oilers first came in the league, and you look at who he added in there to support those young players. Just go back and look. It's unbelievable because Glenn knew. Glenn knew way back in 1979, this is what I got to do. Well, maybe the Chicago Blackhawks should have talked to Glenn Sather about some necessary moves to support good young players.
Craig, the Calgary Flames at the quarter mark, I think, are one of the pleasant surprises in the NHL. Dustin Wolf continues to play very well. How much now? Hey, goaltenders can be ultra streaky. We've seen veteran guys go up and down. So I'm not going to jump on. Oh my God, Dustin Wolf's the next great starter. But you know what? He had really good numbers in the American League, and so far very good in the NHL. Is there a point you think where, or do teams now they should have enough scouting anyway, film on this guy, or do teams normally have to see a goalie once or twice before they get a read, and then that's maybe when you get a better sense of can they exploit it? Because as Kevin Woodley tells us, every goalie has a weakness. It's just whether or not you can exploit it.
Yeah, Kevin's right, and he's right on both accounts. Like and you're trying to find that area where you can exploit it. You're trying to find that area where you can open it up even bigger. Now I'm going to say this about Dustin Wolf. For the 5 seasons previous to this one, he's been the best goaltender in the league he played in.
Yeah.
2 years in the Western Hockey League, the entire CHL, 3 years in the American Hockey League, including an MVP. So this isn't somebody that's just come and he's played lots of games.
Yeah.
5 seasons. He's been the best goaltender in the league he's played in. Ryan Huska said just in recent days, he said he gets ahead of the play as well as any goaltender he's ever seen. I think he's like Shesterkin. I think in terms of his ability to read the play, anticipate that play, we talk about hockey sense. Dustin Wolf's hockey sense is off the charts brilliant, the anticipation. And so now you're trying to figure out as you're scouting him and trying to play, how do you beat him? Hey, Shesterkin's had some patches where he hasn't been that good. But overall, and you go back and look at where Igor was a top goaltender in the KHL, and then he comes over here and he's been a top goaltender in the NHL. And to me, Dustin has a lot of those same qualities. And there's going to be just simple. We'd be silly to say he's not going to run into a rough patch. It might happen next week. But when you've been that good for that long, and you have such a basic strength in your game of sense and obviously the technical skills, those bumps on the road, those stretches where you're not so good, are not going to be very long. And I don't think anything Dustin Wolf is doing is accidental. Goaltending has been really good. I mean, they've been able to be I always thought at the end of the year they'd be a plucky, hardworking team. They showed that from game 1 when they came back from that deficit against the Vancouver Canucks, ultimately winning it in overtime. They've been that type of team. And through 20 games, I'm going to guess that the Calgary Flames have surprised themselves, not just the rest of the league, but themselves. But that's a good thing. And certainly, there's 62 games left to play for the Calgary Flames. And, they're still a team that has some gaps in it. And there's going to be some times when they're going to run into some games where they're not going to have success because they're not good enough. But I think given what they're trying to do, and they're not trying to, kid themselves, this is a process, and they're trying to get themselves into a place where they can be seriously competitive in the league. That's why they went down this path.
Craig Button from TSN joins us. And Craig, you look at a few of the other teams. You saw the Minnesota Wild in town last night, and Edmonton looked fatigued. I don't care what anybody says. They look fatigued. Minnesota looked very good. They got Kaprizov, so they got an elite star. Their team defense is very good. They don't give up much. I look at the Wild and I say, hey, I think this team could go somewhere, but I still think they need another good productive finisher, because I just don't think you can rely on one guy. He's already got 15 more points than his next leading teammate. That's great for him, but I just don't think that's sustainable long term. I look at the Wild, and if they could add a piece offensively to kind of alleviate some of that offensive pressure, then they might be a real contender.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And let's rewind a couple of years when Bill Guerin bought out Suter and Parise, and they knew. I mean, that was not an easy decision, and they knew that it was going to really hinder themselves with respect to being able to add players, because their salary cap was going to be affected to a great extent with the charges on those buyouts. So next year, and it certainly hurt during what I call the COVID CBA, because the cap didn't go up. Next year, the cap's it went up this year. It's going to go up again next year. Bill Guerin next year, those contracts, for the most part, are off the books. Now, Bill Guerin, heading into the trade deadline, I think he's going to be able to maneuver to be able to find exactly what you're talking about, Jason. And I think that he will find it. And then next summer, because they're a good team, and because they're a team with a lot of good young players and good players on, I think next summer they could be doing some significant things in free agency. So you do the first thing this year, leading it, and maybe a team takes on a little bit of the contract, which allows you to add that player, and then next summer, it opens up, because and I mean, depending on what a contract is, if you can maneuver, and then when the cap opens up for the Wild next summer at the end of this season, then they'll be able to accommodate something like that. But I agree with you. They're a good team. They're a team that plays tight together. But when you get up against good teams in the playoffs, you need more, not less, when it comes to scoring.
Craig Button joins us. Craig, there's lots to talk about goaltending in Edmonton, and I understand it. It's the easy thing to look at. To me, the bigger issue, and maybe the more surprising issue, is that through the first quarter, the Edmonton Oilers power play, which is the best in the NHL for 5 years, is 22nd. They've scored 9 power play goals. Only one of them, I think, has been an impactful goal at the time of a game. And their power play with their skill players has always been a weapon. It should be a weapon. And I look at it and say, hey, teams, I think the Oilers penalty kill and maybe 3 other teams, they kill different. Everybody else is the 3 up. And right now, Edmonton has had a tough time adapting to it. And I look at this week. Do you think 5 days is enough time to tweak a few things? My understanding is they're going to have Sunday off, practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, practice Thursday, and then they go out to Utah as they have kind of that rare 5-day break in between. You think that's enough time for their power play to get on track? And because once it gets on track, I think that'll lead to all their offense. They're down in scoring. Skinner's actually allowed fewer goals, and I'm not saying the goaltender doesn't have to be better. He does. But their special teams, their 5-on-5 scoring has been equally unimpressive to me as their goaltender.
I totally agree with you, Jason. You and me have talked about this a few times in the last few weeks, is that their 5-on-5 even strength goal scoring has been poor. But I've said this now, they lack talent up front. They're top 2 scorers, no surprise. Yeah, we know who they are. And then you got 3 defensemen. I mean, you got Nugent Hopkins and Hyman that are just pushing on it. But when you got Ekholm and Bouchard, obviously, and then Darnell Nurse, who's out now, not able to do it. I mean, their top 5 scorers at the beginning of this week, obviously the top 2, then 3 defensemen. If that doesn't scream lack of scoring and lack of offense up front, I don't know what does. And I know that Zach Hyman has had chances and he hasn't been able to take advantage like he did last year, but he's had the chances. So to answer your question, I think there's 2 things they got to figure out here with the power play. Number one, you're right. They're looking all the time. What are opponents doing to us? What they're trying to do. I think Connor McDavid has to change up a little bit on the power play, because what teams are doing now is they're letting Connor McDavid skate around. They're not so worried about Connor McDavid. And then when Connor McDavid tries to attack into the middle, they're ready to take away that play where he's trying to get it to Draisaitl. I think Connor's got to get into a little bit more of a shooting mindset. Yeah. And I think they got to get into a little bit more of a quick set attack instead of that free flowing all around. Because what I see teams doing is going, okay, Connor, you keep going. You keep going. And I see a lot of activity and not a whole lot of accomplishment. So do I think that they can get this done? Connor McDavid's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant thinker. I think all you got to do is point out a couple of things to him, and he'll adapt that real quick. And he knows how to be dangerous in multiple ways. And I think that will happen. Do I think 5 days is enough time to do it? I absolutely do think it is. Jason, you're a football fan. I'm a football fan. You look at how teams change their game plan from week to week. If the Edmonton Oilers can't do it in 5 days, then shame on them.
One last one for you, Craig. We had Marc-Andre Fleury come through town last night. Became the 1,000th game started. He passed Patrick Waugh in games played. He's going to pass Luongo and likely both of them by the end of the season in games played and in starts. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I love his attitude after that goal. It's one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen. But you look at Fleury, some people are saying because there's so much uncertainty about the Canadian goaltenders heading into Four Nations, would you have Fleury as one of the three?
Right now, I would. I'm going to go back a couple of years here. When the Vegas Golden Knights acquired Jonathan Quick, we know what happened that year. LA traded him to Columbus, and then he had a short stay in Columbus before he was moved over to Vegas. Now, Jonathan Quick never played a game, but having him around that team, and Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee talked about this, they thought that was really important. Somebody that had been around, somebody that could just be a sounding board for coaches, for other goaltenders, for players, watching that's astute and everything that was that. They won the Stanley Cup. Now you're into a 10-day tournament or thereabouts. I think Marc-Andre Fleury could do exactly the same thing. And to me, I joke now, Jason. I said, people ask me, who do you think will be the starter? I said, anybody with a Canadian passport. Everybody's under consideration right now. Because nobody, it is, isn't it? I mean, you have a player play well, and then you have a player not play so well. So, I mean, this is a conundrum for Team Canada. But I think it speaks more to, okay, you know exactly what you're getting with Marc-Andre. Maybe Marc-Andre is just a third goaltender. But to have his presence around, I think would be really instrumental, because there is no Carey Price. There is no Roberto Luongo or Ed Belfour or Patrick Waugh or Marty Brodeur or Kurt. There's none of those guys there. So I think that Marc-Andre Fleury, given the state of Canadian goaltending right now, would be a really nice addition and a valuable one.
Would you have Connor Bedard on the team?
No, not at all.
I agree. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Craig,
yeah. We're gonna do a little reboot, Mike Johnson and I, on Wednesday, because we did an Olympic team about a month ago, and we're gonna do a little reboot on Wednesday before rosters get announced. And I can tell you right now, Connor Bedard is nowhere near the team.
When do you know the date on when the rosters have to be announced?
The 4th, I believe it's the 4th of December.
Why so early? That's what I don't understand. Because there's so much time to get injured.
Well, okay, so there's. I think, so, Jason, just give me a second here, okay?
Yeah.
They call it marketing.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We all know who the stars are.
Yeah.
What are you telling me on December 4th? You can market these players? And then I heard somebody tell me, well, so they can get jerseys ready. I said, give me a break. Jerseys ready.
Yeah.
A player gets traded tomorrow. The jersey's ready. Don't tell me about these stupid ideas. And you're going to market. Well, we're going to market Connor McDavid. We're going to market, Austin Matthews. Come on, people want to see best on best. It's Canada, USA, Finland, and Sweden. I'm right here. Let's wait till the week before. Name your team and let's go.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It just seems odd to me. How many guys are named that are unfortunately going to get banged up between now and then? It just happens. It sucks, but it's likely going to happen.
And well, it does happen too. But is it necessary? Like the reasons I hear it, it's not necessary. So why do it?
I'm totally with you, man. Totally with you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. Have a great weekend.
You will never see me in a scuffle on the pickleball court.
That's good to hear, buddy. Good to hear. Calm, cool, and collected. I like it. Well, hey, no one's fighting the short shorts, buddy. No one's doing it.
See ya.
That's Craig Madden from TSN. A quick break. We'll come back with 5 questions on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
Get early access to Black Friday prices now at The Brick. And on Friday, November 22nd, for one day only, they're releasing even more Black Friday deals. Get 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 30% off sectionals and recliners. Up to 30% off bedroom, dining, and home entertainment furniture. Plus, buy more, save more. Get up to an extra $300 off major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Get moving. Step away from the screen. Lace up those shoes and explore the outdoors. Whether it's a leisurely walk, a bike ride, or taking the stairs, every little bit counts. Healthy habits aren't made alone. Grab a friend and do it together.
The Nissan All-In Clear-Out event is on now, where you can lease or finance the life remaining 2024 Rogue from 0.99% for 24 months. Plus, qualified Nissan owners may receive up to $500 in loyalty bonus. Go all in with the Nissan Rogue and enjoy the 1.5-liter VC turbo engine for a perfect balance of power and efficiency. And with standard all-wheel drive, you're ready for wherever the drive takes you. Conditions apply. Quantities limited. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
A Bedtime Story by Zachary Martin Hyman. The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near. Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, a clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, and X. 5 questions that always brought to you by The Brick, where it's a little teaser, a sneak peek for Black Friday, which, of course, is next Friday. Well, how about this weekend? 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair, up to 30% off sectionals and recliners, 35% off home entertainment, furniture, and fireplaces, and 50% off select mattresses. Right now at The Brick on thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. What was your biggest takeaway from the Oilers' loss to the Minnesota Wild last night?
For me, Connor, I disagree with my colleague across the table here. I think that Draisaitl goal was exactly how they drew it up. I think they practiced it, and I think he executed on it flawlessly to open the scoring last night.
Oilers look tired, and sometimes when you're tired, you got to get it out. And outside of the McDavid rush, one breakaway, I don't know if they created a scoring chance all game. It was a pretty lethargic effort for the skaters, and it showed, and we'll see if they bounce back against the Rangers.
I think a fair observation would be that the Wild looked pretty good. How far do you think this team can go in the playoffs?
Well, like I said to Craig, I think the Wild, I like a lot of their team, but come playoff time, you need more than one gunner. Now, they do have one, and that's a big deal. It's something Carolina's never had, so that's the benefit. But I think they're going to need some other secondary scoring to help out.
I think they're a good team. I mean, they're 13-3. That's legit. But I also don't know, even though he might be a Four Nations Cup goalie, how deep can Fleury go after a whole long season?
Yeah, but he's not their guy, right? It's Gustafson's their starter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't really give Minnesota the credit that it deserves, I think, as a team.
I agree with you. I think a lot, like they're still, although they do have sick jerseys, like their third jersey is the best in the league. Like, have you seen Gustafson's pad outline, like his blocker glove and pads when he has like the bright green and yellow? It's the best setup in the NHL. It's unreal.
Question number 3. And I'll extend this to the listeners as well. 1-833-401-1440. If you could add one position to this Oilers team, you're going to upgrade one position. Which would you pick?
A Vezina that caliber goalie would be nice. I know that you're a big Skinner proponent, Gregor. But
But it's just unrealistic.
What you
First of all,
did you say the word realistic?
Hypothetical
Connor?
Friday.
There we are. There it is.
Yeah, I would go with 6'4" mobile puck moving who's good in his own zone right shot defenseman.
Who would be the prototype?
Well, they're not going to get him.
Well,
right?
who do you clone on a positive Friday? Cloning Friday.
Well, he's not 6'4", but you clone Cale Makar for sure. He would be. But actually, you know what? I'd clone Alex Pietrangelo.
All right, so we got right defense and goaltender. Question number 4. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, known as probably more commonly, formerly of the New York Giants, now going to be a free agent after he was released. That's assuming nobody claims him in his 4-year, $120 million contract. Where do you think he should sign?
I think he needs to sign somewhere that an offense. Honestly, the Chargers. I think it would help him to learn and just he doesn't have to go somewhere and play. I think he has to go to an offense and learn. And I think that will help. Look at Sam Darnold, right? Sometimes not playing. He has to, the hardest thing in life for all of us, and, is to look past the immediate and the near future and to think bigger picture. Daniel Jones needs to rehabilitate himself a little bit. He's probably, his confidence is probably in the ditch. He's probably, under 2 feet of snow, looking for it, can't find it. Right? It's like Wanye when the girl gave him her number and he's never been able to find it.
Impossible. This story's false.
And that's where Daniel, I would say the Chargers would be a good place to go to learn. The Chiefs, obviously, like you're not going to play a ton, but to me, it's not about playing. Sam Darnold got better by being in an offense and just learning in the film room.
I think, these are all very valid points you're making if you don't want him to play. But I think with Dak Prescott injured, he might be a good fit in Dallas. It'd be pretty hilarious. I love chaos. I love the Cowboys on fire. It'd be funny if he went there. But they do need a QB.
Yeah, knowing Jerry Jones, could you imagine? Like, no one's going to claim him because they have to pay him his current salary, but someone will sign him in the offseason.
I just want Declan, can I read the text he sent me? He says, dude, he needs to sign with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Ouch.
Wow.
Done in the NFL from
wow.
Declan.
Yeah.
XFL squad.
Final question for you guys. Today is Go for a Ride Day. So when it comes to going out for a rip, excluding cars, what is your favorite means of transportation?
Excluding cars.
Can't take a car.
Like my pedal bike, 100%. I would say my my mountain bike. Although, that's a good one. My mountain bike or my road bike? Well, it depends, right? Because road bike is more for a long ride where I'm looking to just go fast. But I'm going to say mountain bike for sure because you go biking in the mountains, you go off-roading in the river valley. So I will say mountain bike for sure.
Strange question with cars removed from the options. But you know me, Connor. I'm a hot air balloonist.
Always have been.
Always have been. I was raised that way. You want to beat traffic? Hot air balloon.
I think I've ever been in a hot air balloon, actually.
I bought one and then chickened out twice. Like, didn't buy the hot air balloon, bought a ride.
And wouldn't go in it?
Well, it was really windy the first day we went. They're like, it's a bit windy. You're going to rock back and forth. I'm like, I'll go back on a calm day. And then never went back. It's not cheap to go on a hot air balloon ride.
Cons?
I would not do a hot air balloon as well. That worries me. But
yeah, you're scared of heights, right?
I know, maybe a little bit. The older I get, I don't mind flying. It's the crashing I worry about.
Dude, how many crashes are there? Come on,
it just takes one. You know what I really used to like was rollerblades when I was younger. Just ripping around on those. Biking's great too, but I might have to look at some rollerblades again.
Right. I thought for sure Wanye was one of those motorized scooter guys.
No. I rode a Segway once and fell off twice, despite being assured by the man you won't fall off. I went around a corner and like skidded out, and then I was going underneath a tree and a branch hit me right in the head. And I was like, "This is stupid. Do you have a Volkswagen Golf I could go around in?"
But I don't think that, when he says you wouldn't fall off, I don't think he was guaranteeing you that you would not be aware enough to not see the tree in front of you. That's not really his fault.
I wasn't impressed.
But the skidding around, I've never driven on a Segway. That's the stand-up one, right?
Yeah. So the scooters, I'm like, it's too close to a Segway. No deal.
No deal?
No.
Did you ever have a skateboard?
Yeah, for sure.
Were you good on a skateboard?
Well, I wasn't Tony Hawk, but I could go from A to B.
So if you're on a skateboard, then you should be good with the scooters.
But the scooters, though, are like you're talking about like the ones that are self-propelled?
Yeah.
Wow, it's different. You could give her the old wrist, and next thing you know, you're halfway down the block.
They are quick. I'll tell you though, I have seen, especially in the summertime, I want to say a good 8 to 9 solid wipeouts as I'm leaving the hockey arena.
I believe it.
And I'm driving and I see people who I'm guessing maybe might have had a beverage or two, and they're on those, and they go over the curb, and you can see it coming. Right, I'm driving, and you can I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna hit the curb, and they're not, and they get off. They're trying to come on the sidewalk, curb, boom, and like one lady for sure must have broke her wrist. She had to. Like the amount of injuries on those. You talk to people, nurses in the ER, and they say Friday and Saturday nights down by White Avenue, the amount of injuries from people on those scooters is significant.
You'll never catch Wanye in the ER on a Saturday night because I fell off a scooter.
Thankfully, one time in my life, we had to go to a ER at like 3 a.m. on a Saturday. Somebody got hurt outside the bar. I can't even remember what happened. It wasn't anything serious, but just had a real big gash. I think they fell out, smacked their head or something. It wasn't a fight or anything like that. But I do remember that now, of course, I was inebriated. So you're sitting in the waiting room at the hospital. And I just remember, God, we're way too loud, and we're laughing, and just, because we went with our buddy. Only happened once.
Laughing in the ER waiting room. Those are words you shouldn't be putting together.
No, it wasn't ideal. But man, there's a lot of people in that. I just remember it was like, God, the U of A, like those nurses and those people get their, like, man, they can't get paid enough to do that job.
Such a mix of like people who are ill and people who are going through absolute chaos that find themselves in the hospital.
Yeah, like I'm sure, God, we could, like that would be a great, just get like anonymous nurses, doctors to just tell stories about the people that have come into the ER and some of the stuff. Like, should be like, I'm sure there's a book out there that I haven't read, like, the ER nurse, and just tell stories from people. They don't even have to say the name, right? Like, it can be Bob, it can be Chris, it can be Carol, doesn't matter. But just if the stories are true, that to me would be entertainment. Because some of the stuff that humans do, and I'm responsible. I look back at some of the dumb decisions I've done in my life. Thankfully, knock on wood, they just didn't result in me being in the ER, but they probably could have been due to a change of an inch or two here or there. And I cannot imagine. Some of you I know work in them. So feel free to share 833-401-1440. And some of you have probably experienced it on yourself. Maybe you weren't the nurse, you were the person, you were the party in the late night ER. Oh, you ever been in ER, Cons?
Yeah, I have a few times. Took my buddy there once.
For?
He was vomiting quite a bit.
Alcohol poisoning?
Alcohol was a factor, but not the main reason. There was another thing. He had a little stomach issue.
He had like the flu?
No, it was like a medical thing, like a serious thing.
Serious.
Yeah, it was like a condition. Yeah, the alcohol probably
just added
helped
to the
him
condition.
get there, got us to the ER.
Okay.
You want to know who I saw one time at the U of A hospital? No lie. Do you remember when there was the family in town that had hypertrichosis? I just looked it up, and they were the Wolf family, and they were from Mexico, and they had like hair all over the bodies of the world. They were there one time.
The Wolf Boys.
Oh, yeah. I think one had like a toothache or something, but it was really crazy because we were there and there was like a lot of chaotic stuff going on. I was like, and the Wolf people were there on top of it all. That tops the list.
I remember
for
seeing
me.
that story. That is kind of crazy.
They lived in Edmonton.
Yeah. Nuts. So did you talk to him?
I had my hands full. Not literally, but I was like, now's not the time to talk to the Wolf man.
No, it's true. Smart. Let's get to the con man. It's not a wolf man, just the con man. Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. As right now, ongoing, of course, is the Canada-wide clearance. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 crew cab elevation. More details at gmcoffers.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The later night in the NHL, with only 2 games on the schedule. Jets Penguins just about to get going out in Pitt. And at 8 o'clock tonight, the Ducks host the Sabres. The Oilers in action tomorrow, taking on the New York Rangers. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock down at Rogers Place in the Association. You got NBA Cup group play rolling on tonight. Sixers, Nets, Celtics in Washington. Pelicans up against the Wizards. You got the Pacers and the Bucks. Bulls host the Hawks and the Mavs, taking on the Denver Nuggets. WHL, the Edmonton Oil Kings will be hosting the Medicine Hat Tigers tonight down at the Ice District. Puck drop 7 o'clock in the Asia. You got Fort Mac hosting Whitecourt, Camrose in Canmore, and Olds takes on Drayton Valley. The Shore Park Crusaders in Cranbrook taking on the Bucks. That'll get going at 7 o'clock. In town, Golden Bears hockey tonight, hosting the Saskatchewan Huskies. It's Teddy Bear toss, 7 o'clock down at the Drake. Pandas in action on the road in Saskatchewan tonight at 6, tomorrow at 4. You've got Golden Bears and Pandas volleyball at the Saville Center this weekend. Both teams hosting the University of Saskatchewan. Pandas at 6 tonight. The Bears at 7:30. And McEwen's men's hockey hosting Regina at 7. The women on the road in Regina taking on the Cougars. That one will get going at 6. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Alan Mitchell from the Lowdown with Lowetide. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Noodle, 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 oodle, noodle, noodle. Noodle, 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 oodle, noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 oodle, noodle, noodle. Noodle, 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 oodle, noodle, noodle.
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $10,104 off select 2024 Sierra
Hopkins is 20
T4 models. Make loading easier than ever with the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. Make hauling easier than ever with up to 14 available camera views, including transparent trailer view. And make finding tunes easier than ever with a class-leading 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. Yeah, let's get to work. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes. Better job opportunities with our thriving economy. Better chances for advancement. Plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service. It's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle, made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it is Positive Friday. No better way to start your weekend than winning $75 million. The draw is tonight. You can get your tickets till 8:30 at PlayAlberta.ca. Good luck. Just remember our deal. We win. We have a big party. We invite all of you. We'll have multiple ones. You win. You just have to invite us. Fair. I think that's a good trade-off. If we win, everybody's winning. If you win, you just have to invite us. So it's a good deal.
I read a thing about Dana White, UFC guy, that when he hosts Super Bowl parties, he buys hundreds of prop bets and he puts them in a bowl. When you come in, you grab a handful of prop bets and people are enthralled.
Really?
Yeah.
And so then they get to keep, do they have to
They
split it
keep
with
it?
them? Oh, all right.
Let's do one back from that. Let's not do Dana White level generosity. It's a win ticket. If you win, you got to give it to the host.
Yeah, well, I don't run a monopoly though, unfortunately. So I just don't have all this disposable income to give to others. Hey guys, I'm going to waste hundreds and hundreds on prop bets, but you fighters who risk your life, you can get paid pennies. So isn't that wonderful? Sorry, I'm not the biggest Dana White. It's been successful, good for him, but I really wish they had a union for UFC fighters, man. It'd be so for what they put themselves through, they get absolutely nothing.
Do you think with Endeavor owning UFC and WWE in the long run, that'll lead to higher salaries?
No, I do not.
You think just because it's a owner league?
Well, they look and say, you know what? We've always gotten away with it. Why would we change? So I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I think until the fighters get a union, they're never going to stand together. You're always more strong as a unified group.
Don't all sports eventually unionize?
Ones like that, but there's no other sport that's like UFC. Like it's not like a bunch of multiple different owners and teams, right?
Was boxing unionized?
It's a good question, Declan. Yeah, they have the Alley Act. So that is it is different, I know. So.
Declan, what you talking about? What decade is he from? I don't even know where Declan is raised.
Declan knows the boxing stuff. That's why I have him, buddy. He knows it.
He knows everything.
I like it. It's great. The Alley Act, good one, Deck. I like it. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. And you know what? They are able to rebuild a lot of things and infrastructure, underground infrastructure and support. But you know what's one of the things that they could never do? Is try to rebuild an aging journalist. GS Construction. As we're joined by one. Happy birthday, Spec. Holy cow. Is it true that it's 59 today?
What happened? Old people are 59. How did I get to be 59? What's going on here?
Well, it's unbelievable, buddy. And you still have all your hair. Like it's amazing. None of it's dyed. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, well, some of it anyway. Hey, man, you know what? As I always tell people, it's better than the alternative. Life's good. Life's
on the
good.
right
I got
side.
nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it's very true. What happens for a 59th birthday? Like, obviously, you're not having candles other than a 5 and a 9, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's a quiet one. That probably next year will be a little bit bigger.
Oh, yeah. Some fires. So there's no fire jumping tonight?
No fire jumping in a snowstorm. We're staying in town. Got a hockey game to work tomorrow night. So I'll go out for a nice dinner. Shelka and I have a nice dinner together and, you know what, drink a bottle of wine and see what happens.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, happy birthday. That's great. You and I had a similar idea. I saw your article came out a little bit before mine, just, kind of at the quarter mark of the season for the Oilers. It's obviously, I think it's below what their standards are for what they expect from themselves at 10, 9, and 2. I would say 4 of their 5 areas are below standards. Goaltending, 5-on-5 scoring, special teams haven't been good enough. 5-on-5 defensive play, I think has been probably better than I expected considering the changes they made on the blue line. What did you unearth maybe in your conversations with Stan Bowman that you put in? Because I know you put some of it into the article. You don't put all of it. What kind of stood out from talking to the GM?
Well, I mean, Stan's getting the same stats we're getting, right? You do Sport Logic. I'm doing Sport Logic. They probably have something that's given them the same stats as Sport Logic. And their offense, I mean, they're 6th in expected goals, 2nd in shot attempts, 2nd in shots, 7th in slot shots, 1st in ozone possession, 1st in rush chances, 2nd in forecheck chances, 5th in high danger chances. So that stacks up as a team that should be scoring a ton of goals. But for some reason, they're 20th in goals, right? Yeah. So Stan, Chris Knobloch, they're all on the same page. Like, on one hand, you don't want to get caught sitting around doing nothing to try to fix a problem. But on the other hand, all the statistics say that things are going the way they're supposed to go. And if you make a bunch of changes and you go from, in slot shots, you go from 7th to 21st, how's that going to improve your scoring? So they're kind of tapping their foot, waiting for these analytics to revert to the mean. And it's been 20 games here, man. It's, they're not, I mean, they got some lucky goals last night, but they're hoping that what usually happens, and that the statistics finally bear themselves out, but they sure haven't so far, have they?
No. And well, the other one that to me is the big issue is their power play. Their power play had 20 goals through the first quarter last year. They have 9. And really, outside of McDavid's 5-on-3 goal at a key time, I don't think their power play scored one really meaningful, timely goal all year. And that's a problem.
There was one in Vancouver that was a big goal. It was 4-2. They came out and McDavid buried one. It was 5-2. Game over.
Okay. Sure.
But
okay.
Nonetheless, I hear what you're saying, Jay. That to me, that's just the fact of, I heard your stat on Bouchard can't get a shot through. Bouchard hasn't been a very good player to his standard this year. He's nowhere close to where he was. Nugent Hopkins has been MIA this year. Zach Hyman averaged 39 goals a year the last 3 years. He's on pace for 12. So that's why your power play is not working, right? It's 60% of your power play is ice cold right now. McDavid and Draisaitl can't do it all themselves. Everybody keys on them. The reason that power play is good is because they got 3 other guys that get the job done. Those 3 other guys aren't getting the job done right now.
No, they got to be better. But even McDavid and Draisaitl on the power play specifically aren't getting it done. They, because they're the 2 leaders. They've always been the drivers of the power play. Draisaitl has got the most power play goals in the NHL the last 3 years. Yep. McDavid's got the most. Like those guys drive it, and as good as it's funny, like their Draisaitl's 5-on-5 game all over, I think, has been really good.
Yeah,
it's
he's been their best player.
He's been their best player. But their power play is like on the power play, like he's not even getting those one-timers that we used to see before, right? Like they're just he needs to be more of a factor. They got to figure it out, and I'm sure they'll work with Glenn Galton next week. That's the key. They got 5 days, and like if I was ranking priority, power play would be 1. Goaltending, you work because it's some stuff off of the rush and everything, and then I'd work some other drills 5-on-5 scoring. But man, because if I get my power play going, Spec, I think it just alleviates the stress of everybody else. And the power play is the one I'm the most confident can get back to the level of where it should be.
Well, I agree, but I guess I'd say to you, if I'm going up against the Oilers' power play right now, I'm taking that Draisaitl one-timer away, and I'm saying let those other guys beat me. Right? Let the rest of that power. I'm not letting Draisaitl beat me. I'm going to shade towards Draisaitl. I'm not letting the other guys beat me. I'm not letting Draisaitl beat me. So now it's up to the other guys. Like I don't think it's fair to look at McDavid and Draisaitl and say, you two, you got to get the power play going. It's a 5-man unit. Sure, McDavid starts with a puck all the time, but he doesn't always end with it. And Hyman's hurt right now. He's got 3 goals. Bouchard's can't get a shot through, and McDavid or Brian Nugent Hopkins, I think, has 2 goals. So, how's the power play going to get going? Maybe instead of asking the big guys to do it, maybe you give the big guys some help. Find someone who can help them do it, along with them.
Yeah, that's fair. The one thing I'll say on, teams, can they really take it away? They couldn't take it away for 5 years. They haven't been able to take away Ovi's one-timer for 15 years, right? Like the good guys, the good power plays, you move it around, you always find ways because you have an extra attacker. You find ways to do it. You have to come from different angles maybe and a different approach and quicker. Like I think their passing's not quick enough lately. That's what I find. They're, the new penalty killing style, right? The 3-up, you got to beat them not so much with movement, but more with quick passing. And I think their passing needs to improve a little bit. And that's where I'd start. But ultimately, I still think, Draisaitl will get his looks because the power play, like Washington went, Spec, 15 years, and everybody knew where Ovechkin was setting up, and he still scored all the time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. He always scored usually from a little further away and a little further up from the goal line than Draisaitl. But you're right. I'll give you that. Ovi's done it. Draisaitl's capable of doing it. I guess I'm just a little bit opposed to any solution that suggests 29 and 97 have to do more, right? Let's face it. Sure, maybe they can make the power play better, but this team won't succeed if the solution has to be 97 and 29 need to do more. They need help around here. They're not going to win anything by themselves. The rest of this team's got to get moving. Bouchard's a perfect example. He's such a good player. He became a legit number one defenseman last year. Not playing like that right now. Nugent Hopkins, what's he got? Like 8 points or something? He's got 104 points 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So,
he has not been good at all. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I'm opposed to any solution that puts the blame on 97 or the responsibility on 97 and 29. They got to get some help around here. Come on.
Well, I would agree 5-on-5, but the power play, like they're the two drivers, right? They've always been the drivers. That's all I'm saying. Like I don't think the power play works better if McDavid has the puck less.
Nope, that's true. Yeah. But I just feel like he needs another, anyway, I think we beat this up, but they got to get Hyman back. To me, he's that down low option that really, really makes everybody stay closer to the net, and they can't fan out and guard Draisaitl as much. When Hyman's in the low slot, there's got to be a defenseman right next to him. He needs to get healthy, and then he needs to find his mojo again, because he's been getting the chances this year. They're just not going in.
Very fair.
Spec, on your birthday, what was one of the best birthdays you've had?
Ooh, one of the best birthdays I've had. Geez, now you're hitting me with that one, aren't you?
Some of the old clubs in the 70s. We can get the text line rocking if you bring it up.
Oh my God, yeah. Shelka did set up about 40 of my friends at a really grim rock bar where there was a tragically hip tribute band one year, and man, did we have a good time. I think it was, I shouldn't say grim, it was like the Yellowhead or something like that, an old rock bar in town.
Oh yeah.
We piled a bunch of people in there and had a bunch of drinks and had a really good time. I know it sounds lowbrow, but that was one of the fun nights that I could remember. How about that?
Those nights are the best nights, the lowbrow nights.
Mark Spector joins here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Spec, would you go back to Skinner tomorrow night? I kind of get the sense I think they will. When I listen to Knobloch, like Knobloch doubled down again today. He's like, I thought Stuart Skinner was fine. I didn't mind this game. He goes, we weren't predictable in front of him at all. We didn't do much. Yep. I think they might go back to Skinner tomorrow. What do you do?
Well, I'm caught. Like, I got to know what Skinner wants. He's not played a whole bunch. It's not like he's overworked and he's tired. Remember the Vancouver series? He just played so much high-level hockey, high-pressure hockey. He needed a break, and he got one, and it helped. I don't think he's there. Like, I don't think he's played so much. He may be telling the coach, I got to play my way out of this. So that's a factor for me. I'm really caught on Skinner. Listen, no one's looking at all these goals going in and saying, come on, like, you got to give me a save somewhere along the way here. But the goals that went in last night, I thought Knobloch described it well. Totally unpredictable goals. Edmonton has the puck 1 second. All of a sudden, they don't. Quick pass, shot from the side, goal. Like, they're really, really hard to play behind in a night like last night. The goal that didn't get put in, or the first goal of the game that Minnesota had, Foligno had, that got called back on the cheesy offside. That Skinner makes a great save. Guy pops his own rebound in because nobody's got him. There's another goal. Stetcher has it on his tape. Brown has it on his tape. All of a sudden, it's on Minnesota's tape. Quick pass, goal. A goal off a 3-on-1. Skinner makes a decent save, a nice save. Puck goes out. Boom, it's in his net. So, yeah, I want another save out of Skinner, too. Don't get me wrong. His numbers are poor. He's not playing great. I'm not telling you he is. But you find me the goalie that's going to succeed behind an effort like we saw last night. And some of the efforts the Oilers have laid down. Defensively, they're a train wreck right now. So, sure, I want better goaltending. It's not going to matter if this team doesn't play better defense in front of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think he can be better at times. There's no question. I think what's funny is the 5-on-5 defense for lots of stretches has been pretty good overall, but when you look at the changes on the blue line, I think we thought that's the area that would struggle the most. And funny enough, the numbers, it hasn't struggled the most overall. Like 5-on-5 scoring, as you outline, Spec, they're getting all these chances, but chances don't win you hockey games, right? You got to actually deliver on it. And that's where I look at their offense. I'm not that concerned about the Oilers. I still think they're a playoff team. They're only, worst case scenario, they're only 6 points out of the division if Vegas wins their game in hand. And, best case scenario, it's 4 or 5 because technically Calgary could win theirs and be 5 up. So, and I'm not too worried that Edmonton couldn't catch Calgary. Calgary's gone 17 consecutive games without scoring more than 3 goals. And that's great for them. They're getting good goaltending, but I don't think that's a recipe for long-term success, to be honest.
Yep.
And I look at Edmonton and Darnell Nurse, he's skated hard now for a few days. Today was a week if we're looking at concussion protocol. What's your expectations? Do you think we see Nurse tomorrow?
Well, I hope for the Oilers' sake you do, because he's one of their top players that's playing well, right? Like Darnell Nurse this season's been their best defenseman. And, I'm looking at a lot of top Oilers, the guys that they count on that aren't having very good seasons. And I hate to say this, and I very seldom would. Matthias Ekholm's one of them, right? Matthias Ekholm has not been great. So Bouchard's not been great. Kulak has played over his head, been fantastic, and Nurse has been really good. So my point is this, sure, they don't have Arvidsson playing. He wasn't helping much when he was playing. They need Nurse back in because when he's played, he's helped. So, I can't tell you what's going to happen. The guy's got a concussion. It's like what Nurse said the other day. He said, when you got one of these, he said, there's a lot of voices that are making the call, not just me. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we're not bringing back a guy who's been playing lousy. You're bringing back an important player. And
yes.
D-zone, they didn't look very good in the D-zone last night without Nurse playing.
No. And, they just missed the speed overall and length and size. And Nurse has had actually a good year if you look at all the numbers. Like the first 5 games, he didn't have training camp, but after that, I think he's played pretty well.
We're ashamed. Sorry, Jay. Somehow we have to apologize when we say Nurse is playing well. Why is that? We got to say, he's playing pretty well. Nurse has been their best defenseman this year. He's playing great. So he's got a contract, whatever, right? He's been a really good player for the Oilers this year. And you'll notice they're missing him when he's not in there.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Spec, have yourself a great weekend. We will chat with you next week. Pace yourself tonight at 59. You're not 19.
Oh, buddy, I'm just getting better. With age, I think I'm just getting better.
Oh, I like it. Well, get some. Have a few shots then tonight, Spec, at 15.
All right, thanks, boys.
There you go. It's birthday boy Mark Spector. We'll return. Lowetide joins us. Does he even remember his 59th? Who knows? So we'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can always keep texting us 833-401-1440 in our email inbox.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Get early access to Black Friday prices now at The Brick. And on Friday, November 22nd, for one day only, they're releasing even more Black Friday deals. Get 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair, up to 30% off sectionals and recliners, up to 30% off bedroom, dining, and home entertainment furniture. Plus, buy more, save more. Get an additional $300 off major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
First of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.534, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz with you. Pause of Friday in Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use a promo code Gregor50 and you get a free $50 play. PlayAlberta.ca. As we get to the oil report now, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. They are Canada's #1 Volvo dealership. Currently, Black Friday pricing is on. You can get 0% financing on a lease on a 2024 XC90 only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And I recommend the Vapor Gray color. Sick. As we welcome to the show, the host of the Lowdown, noon till 2 here on Sports 1440. Alan Mitchell joins us. LT, how you doing? It is, Al. The Oilers, when I look at the 5 areas of your team, 5-on-5 scoring, 5-on-5 defending, power play, penalty kill, goaltending, I would say 4 of the 5 have underachieved through the first quarter of the season. 5-on-5 defending would be the one that I'd say, hey, it's passable, it's acceptable. Doesn't mean it can't get better, but it's been fine. Of the other 4, which one are you most confident will be better in the second quarter, and which one are you most concerned about?
Confident that the shooting, the scoring will come back. Least confident, I guess, because the bottom line on all of this is when you have so much talent on the power play, and you have had historically a strong power play, and we're 20 games in, and I don't know that they're figuring it out. So I'll say special teams, but with power play rising.
Yeah, well, the power play, I think would you'd hope it. My goodness, if it can improve, that'd be a shock to me and a concern, because it's been a difference maker for such a long time, and it's a big.
Bouchard can't get the puck through.
Yeah, well,
why can't he get the puck through, Jason?
Well, I asked him about it, Al, last night, and he said, he goes, hey man, it's kind of that way. He talked about how he's seen pucks go off the edges of sticks. He goes, usually small forwards up there, and usually the shot gets through him, and now it's getting blocked. And he didn't make excuses, just said, hey, it's kind of that way. He goes, I got to figure it out. And right now I'm not rewarding my forwards. They work hard to get the puck back to me, and then me not getting it through is basically killing the play. And that's an issue. I think their low execution is not crisp enough. I think they got to have better passing, quicker down low.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, it wouldn't go amiss if they tried something else. I mean, the whole world knows that Bouchard's going to get the puck. And, if that's still not working after 21 games, I'm not suggesting Bouchard should be lifted from the power play, but maybe there could be, Bouchard gets a puck, he makes his decision to go to over on the left side to McDavid or down low to, say, Leon, to keep the feet moving and maybe just try another little tweak, maybe a hinge or a pair of pliers. I don't know. It's frustrating watching it, Jason, because the power play is not just not scoring, but it seems like this team sags after the power play does poorly.
Well, I think because for such a long time, even if they didn't score, they would create lots of chances. They would get energy in the building if it was a home game. The opposition is like, oh my God, we survived. And, it's like they're exhausted. You know what I mean now? And that would give them, and right now, like last night in the third period, they had back-to-back power plays and didn't even get a shot on goal. Like there's zero momentum gain from that. Guys come to the bench. Their body language is terrible, right? The next guy's going like, geez, we can't even get a shot on goal. And I agree with you. I think it sucks that like it's being a momentum sponge, not a momentum booster, and that's got to change.
And you're right. And look, good Lord, there are 31 other teams that would give their left nut for this power play. Look at all the talent they have.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. And that's what's staggering about it. And they're as good as Draisaitl's being 5-on-5 this year. I think he's been their best player overall by far. It's kind of stunning to see the lack of success in the power play where they've dominated, and he's been the best power play shooter in the league for 3 or 4 seasons. And I guess the good news is you would think 97 and 29 would get going. And I saw actually Connor McDavid, who wasn't on the ice today, but he had a very lengthy chat with Glenn Gulutzan. And I'm assuming they're talking about the power play because McDavid wants to fix it.
Yeah, and look, I know these are world-class players. Connor McDavid is the best entertainment dollar in the NHL and probably in sports. But it's because he is that, it's frustrating when they don't succeed. And I know they're more frustrated than an observer could possibly be. And Connor Halley's not helping on the power play either, just so you know.
It's true. Well, he's got a lot of dad responsibilities now. He doesn't have time.
LT, we were talking earlier about Marc-Andre Fleury and looking ahead to the Four Nations Cup. What do you make of the fact that there isn't the same crop of Canadian goalies that maybe there was 10 or even 20 years ago? Is it just the evolving of the global game and there's more international goalies in the mix, or is the Canadian development program somehow lacking between the pipes?
It's a great question, and I like it's a terrible answer, but I don't know. I know it is cyclical. I know that often we'll have we'll be over. Canada will have too many goalies, right? And you're like, God, I can't believe that guy's not playing. And then sometimes at the World Junior Championships, it can be that way where you're like, holy crow, the Finns have 3 guys and the Russians have 3 guys, and there's nobody on the Canadian side who can play. But right now, it does seem to be a lull. And the one thing I will say is you don't have to choose. I don't think you have to choose a goalie till late, and I would just take the hottest goaltender.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's funny. Well, don't the rosters have to be out December 4th?
Oh, well, that's not good.
For the jerseys.
Yeah, which is odd to me. Although my buddy Mike said they need 4 weeks, but I text him back. I'm like, can't you just make the jerseys and not crest the number on the back and the name and just put the numbers in the name bar on a week before? Like, come on, because they're going to announce names, and we know there's going to be 1 or 2 guys. Unfortunately, they get banged up. It's just how it is. So it will be fascinating about the goalie, because right now, if you were going just based off of recent play and based off of actually the last 2 seasons, the best Canadian goalie when it looks at save percentage, and it's not overly high, but it's Cam Talbot.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, and it's only because I think too much, but I wonder if the specter of playing on that team is maybe impacting Stuart Skinner. This is time of year, the last 2 years, he's sort of taken off, and he's not right now. And I'm sure he's got a pile of pressure on him just because the team, is playing better. Well, Calvin Pickard is stopping more shots, but I think once the team has decided, that might settle things down for Stuart Skinner. But can you choose 4 goalies? Just take all 4.
Yeah, I guess you could, Al. I guess you could.
I'm just saying.
Quickly,
You guys don't. Who's your choice for the goalie? I don't have. People have asked me this, and I look at it, and then I hum and haw, and then I just go make tea.
Yeah, I think they're going to – I think Binnington's going to be one of the three for sure. He's won a cup. His GM is the GM. He feels you probably trust him. He's going to put his neck on the line a little bit. You say, hey, he's a contender, yada, yada, yada. So I think he's one for sure.
That makes sense.
I really believe that Cam Talbot's going to be in the conversation. I think they're leading heavily to Aiden Hill because he's won a cup. And, you know, they're going to value those things. And even though he hasn't been great, you could argue that Samsonov's been better in Vegas. I think they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And so those would be two. And then after that, I think it's wide open. Skinner's not in the conversation. That's fine. I think that's probably better for Edmonton. You know what? There's Connor Ingram was in it. I don't think he's in it. Cam Talbot's one. I wonder Darcy Kemper just because of experience. You know, Montembeault is young. I wonder, do they want a young guy just to be around and have him there for the Olympics the next year? Right. I think there's some validity to that. So if I had to pick, I would go with Montembeault as my third.
Yeah. And Luongo's always available, isn't he? I know he doesn't play anymore, but you get him in there.
Well, you know what? Still got pretty good hair. He'd be there. He'd be great commentary, Al. Right now, the wild card might be, and I don't know if people would do it, but Marc-Andre Fleury's playing pretty well. He's a glue guy. He's got an experience. You know, maybe he's a little bit of a wild card for your number three.
Well, you know, and Fleury is a great goaltender, and I know he's played 21 years or however old, long it is, but back in the day, older goaltenders did hang around for a long time, and maybe he's just, maybe he's a throwback. I don't think that's a crazy idea.
I was about to throw out a crazy off-grid prediction, LT, and say Jeremy Brodeur, Martin's son, but of course he's an American, so none of that makes any sense.
Well, that's Marty Brodeur's fault for the child being born in America.
Mm-hmm. It's selfish.
Al, quickly, give me your thoughts now. You've had a few days to, Chris Morris was announced a while back, but then they got Ed Hervey this week. What do you make of that? And are you confident that they will bring Trey Ford back?
I am. I'm thrilled. I thought, if at any time in the last however many years the Elks had somebody stand up and be as passionate and open and owning the whole past and expressing what they want to do, like Ed Hervey did this week, I think the Elks' problems would be far less than they are today. He owned it. I tell you, he had a home run. I know that's a baseball term, but I thought that was, if you're a guy my age who remembers Fennell and Moon and Wilkie and Lemmerman and all the great events that have occurred since then, I thought Ed Hervey personified it. He would know the history of this team, and he gave it voice, and he gave some structure and maybe some torque to it. I was pretty excited. Honestly, I thought that was one of the highlights of the week in this city.
It's true. They're both fiery. You can see their passion, both Chris and Ed, and I think that's good for the organization. And the fact that Chris Morris told us yesterday on the show, his first meeting when he got hired was dinner with Trey Ford. I think that's a positive sign for the organization, understanding that the need to help develop him and make him the best possible quarterback he can be. It's not just on the player. You got to help him as an organization. I thought it was very wise words from Chris. LT, have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we will chat on Monday. Do the Oilers find a way to get a win, or will they be officially 500 on Monday?
Well, your cohort, Young Yaremchuk, was talking about how many chances and shots New York was giving up lately. So I'm going to say it's an absolute barn burner. 6-5. McDavid goes off. A couple of late third period goals, and the Oilers win it.
All right. Thanks, Al. Have a good one.
All right, you too, guys.
There you go. We'll return Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, and quick Wanya's World on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
You've heard people say dream big and think about your future. Well, at GS Construction, we live by those words every day. You see, GS Construction lays pipes in the underground systems in your area. So we don't just think about today, we think about tomorrow and the future of Edmonton's communities and neighborhoods, the places we call home and the places we will call home. We're there when new neighborhoods are developed and return when it's time to replace them. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Nissan All-In Clear-Out event is on now, where you can lease or finance a select remaining 2024 Sentra from 0.99% for 24 months. Plus, qualified Nissan owners may receive up to $500 in loyalty bonus. Go all in with the Nissan Sentra, featuring a beautifully redesigned front grille and sporty design. And the available around view monitor helps give you a 360 view of what's around you, and maybe what having superpowers feels like. Conditions apply. Quantities limited. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Take the pain out of airport parking with Park to Go. Your first-class parking experience. Book self-serve and valet parking and save up to 30%. Book now with promo code RADIO-YEG. That's RADIO-YEG.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at Chevrolet. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Silverado 1500 Crew Cab RST models. Explore downtown hotspots with standard Chevrolet safety assist, including automatic emergency braking and HD surround vision camera. Or take on the great outdoors with an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine and available in-vehicle trailering app. Oh, look, a cute chipmunk. Not so cute. Not so cute. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Guys, Logan Thompson, a no-brainer. I think he's in the conversation, yes, but I'm just telling you, I know how the executives are going to go. They're gonna lean on track record long-term rather than just guys who have had 10, 15 good games, right? Not that, because Logan Thompson's numbers last year weren't good. But this year he's played very well. What do you have? Just his first loss last night against Colorado. Played really well in that game. So if you look at his numbers, they're pretty solid. I don't doubt that, but they're going to look at more than just this season. I think they have to. Let's get to Wanye's World, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. And every Spruce Grove Saints home game, you can get in on the 50-50. You don't even have to be there. Just go to saints5050.com and you can get your tickets. Can support the local team and win a little cash. Saints5050.com.
No lie, Gregor, my plan was to talk about, was the first quarter of the Oilers season successful or not? And 36 minutes ago during the show, you somehow published an article about the Oilers' first quarter of the season. So perhaps we'll throw it back to you and we can discuss. Like, it wasn't as barn on fire as other years have been, but it also wasn't as terrible as last season. Where does this rank for you in Oilers seasons?
Well, for me, I would look at the Oilers and I would say it's been Like if A's good, like they're above a C, it's probably a C plus, maybe a B minus because winning matters, right? But they haven't won enough. However, there's like power play needs to be better, penalty kill needs to be better, 5-on-5 scoring needs to be better. Because people can tell me all the chances. I've seen it. I've watched the games. Great, you create chances. Did chances win games? No. Scoring goals wins games. And at the end of the day, they haven't scored enough. And their power play, to me, just that's why it's a C plus. Is not. It's got you have that much skill. It's inexcusable to be where they are in the power play, in my opinion. So, it's not. I think there's some people that have jumped the shark and are like, "Oh, Skinner's terrible," and they're wanting to write off all of these players. And maybe calm down on that. Like, I don't expect Bouchard to continue. Like, it's a moniker that I would never give to anybody else because it was so good the first time. But he's looking like the shin pad assassin. Right, the baby, he's kind of like the dad, the old, you know how there's the baby face assassin? Well, he's kind of like the grandpa face assassin because he looks much older than he is. So, but I think they got to be better. And I expect them to be better in the next quarter. You?
I don't think it's as bad as last season. I think that as Oilers fans, we're prone to thinking that the sky is falling. If they play the next quarter like they did this quarter, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But I just think that the stats are going to revert to mean. I think the power play can only improve.
Oh, God, I would hope so. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks so much. It's a great week. Fun. We got lots of good guests lined up for next week, so we look forward to that. On behalf of Connor and Wanya and Declan, I'm Jason Gregor. Please don't drink and drive. Don't be inebriated. Don't weed and drive. Get home safe. Turn your lights on when you're driving, please. Make it safer for everybody, and have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the NFL. Enjoy the Teddy Bear Toss on Sunday. That's a great event. Kevin Radomski and everybody at the Oil Kings, have a great time there. Oilers, NFL, NBA, F1 in Vegas. I know many of you are going to that. Have fun. We'll talk to you on Monday. Here's a Conman Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home that no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. LegacyHeating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
2 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. 1 underway after 20 minutes. Nido Niederreiter has the Jets on top of the Penguins. 1-0 still to come tonight. Sabres in Anaheim taking on the Ducks. That'll get going just after 8 o'clock in the association. 3 games underway as the NBA Cup group play rolls on. The Sixers lead the Nets 46-36 in the second quarter. Also in the second, the Celtics trail the Wizards 45-41. And in the first, the Pelicans have a 23-21 lead over the Golden State Warriors. Later tonight, Bucks host the Pacers. The Hawks are in Chicago. Rockets take on the Trailblazers. Nuggets meet the Mavericks, and the Kings in LA to take on the Clippers. The Edmonton Oil Kings tonight down at Rogers Place will be hosting the Medicine Hat Tigers at the 7 o'clock puck drop there. In the AJ, we've got Fort Mac hosting Whitecourt Camrose in Canmore, and the Old Sakes on Drayton Valley. BCHL Crusaders in Cranbrook taking on the Bucks. That gets going at 7 o'clock in town tonight. The Golden Bears Teddy Bear Toss goes at the Drake taking on Saskatchewan. Puck drop at 7. The Pandas also in action. They're on the road in Saskatchewan tonight at 6, tomorrow at 4. Down at the Saville Center, you got Golden Bears and Pandas volleyball tonight. Pandas meeting in about 5 minutes with Saskatchewan. Later tonight, Bears take on Saskatchewan as well at 7:30. And McEwen men's hockey hosts Regina at 7 o'clock tonight. All the women are on the road in Regina taking on the Cougars. That gets going at 6. College football right now. UTSA leads Temple 13-3 in the second quarter. Later tonight, Michigan State hosts Purdue, and ULMB heads to San Jose to take on the Spartans. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio, and then tomorrow morning it is the Saturday Sports Setup, 9 a.m. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. Broadcast